Today on
Doomed!
Elon Musk. My good pal, Elon Musk. So he's in the news a lot this week, as he is nearly every week now since he acquired Twitter in October of last year. But he's in the news especially this week for a number of reasons, and we're going to talk about them all today on this episode of the show. We got Elon wants people to pay for Twitter. Everybody pay for Twitter. Elon, in an interview with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, apparently just refuses after being asked time and time again by the most friendly of hosts to him, of course, I'm talking about Netanyahu, just refuses to just outright condemn anti-Semitism in this bizarre video we'll watch. And then the latest that just dropped, as you know, hours before we're doing the stream live tonight, Musk apparently, shocking, I know, apparently lied. I know you're all shocked about Neuralink and the monkeys that it experimented on. We'll be getting into all of that. Oh, let me pull myself up on the screen. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? I am your host, Matt Binder, and my body is aching. We'll talk about why in the second half of the show. Let's just say I attempted to work out with a professional wrestler. And I need to do more so I can keep up, because my body hasn't been through that ever, perhaps. But all right, cool. Let's start. Let's get into it. Let's do this. It's just me tonight. It's a solo Matt Binder episode. I thought, well, there's some personal reasons, like I had a few things going on this week, so it's Wednesday, not Tuesday. I sometimes do the show on Wednesday, the live stream on Wednesday, but usually it's Tuesday. Didn't know when the episode was going to be, so I prepared knowing I would do a solo episode. And then B, all the Elon Musk stuff just compounding on top of each other. And I've done plenty of solo episodes on Musk and his ridiculousness over the past year, so it's gonna be fun. I love doing these episodes. It gives me a chance to just get it all off my chest. Let's get into it. Let's dive in. What should I do first? That's the thing. Let's talk about this. Will be the segue into the video, because the video's got a bunch of stuff in there. We're not going to watch the whole video. No one wants to watch an hour of Elon Musk and Netanyahu talking, okay? I mean, I did. But I did it to find the segment that I wanted to play. And, they talk about AI, technology, all that. That could possibly be for scam economy. But for this show, I got a segment that we're going to listen to, and it's very interesting. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk about what everyone else is talking about first. Let's get the mainstream news out of the way here first. I hear people saying you love the solo episodes. I know listen, I on top of everything, top of me being sore, feeling a little bit under the weather, not totally sick, no fever, just a little bit under. Sometimes you're just not, a little airheaded, or I don't know what it is. Just it's probably the change of the seasons. I'm feeling the sinuses, things like that. But workhorse Matt Binder, the only member of Leftist Mafia who made it to the show last Thursday and did the whole 4-hour episode not by myself, because I booked 2 guests to join me, but produced the whole episode by myself. That's right. And special thanks to Dan from the internet and Ravana for joining me on Leftist Mafia last week. Honestly, I think it was a great episode. Being that the other Leftist Mafia people weren't there, I'll refrain from saying perhaps the best Leftist Mafia episode ever, but it was really good. It was a lot of fun. And um, shout out to a listener of this show who sent me an amazing video they made based off of that Leftist Mafia episode, a segment from that Leftist Mafia episode last week. I will be uploading it on this channel probably Friday morning. I want to thank Jake for let me shout out his show too. Actually, he's got a I'm probably gonna do something with him. He asked me to do something interesting. Well, we'll probably do it. Jake of What You Can Do. Really amazing. I'm gonna upload this. You guys will enjoy it. And you know what? I think I'm gonna have to talk with Jake about what we can do to pump out maybe one of those a week, or maybe every other week, because you'll see what I'm talking about on Friday. That's right, the suspense. And if you're listening to the podcast, it might even be up by the time I get around to uploading this. I'm also behind on editing the podcast version of this show. But there's episodes of the live stream that have to go up from weeks ago on the podcast. I'm so behind. I'm a one-man show. I'm trying my best to do everything. All right, give me a break. When you guys see this though, when I put it up, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" I couldn't get over how cool this was. I want him to do more. We'll see how feasible that is. But let's get to the news and what's going on in the world with Musk, right? This is too much promo and too much chit chat. This belongs in the second half of the show. So Elon Musk this week, he sat down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Basically, it seems like a thing where it's like Netanyahu, who's a right winger, is like, oh, let me reach out to Musk and talk with him. I'm a big fan, obviously. And Musk, after these insane couple of weeks, really, where he decided to declare war on the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, a longtime Jewish group. And listen, the ADL, and I'm going to address this up top, the ADL does great work against extremism. It's what they do. However, as progressives and leftists, they also, way too anti-pro-Palestinian viewpoints. And that you can knock them on. You can criticize them on that all you want. Because I agree with it. I criticize them about that too. But you can separate why Musk is going after them, which is basically his reasoning, is that this Jewish organization pulls the strings, to take one from Bela Lugosi, of all of these big corporations. Wonder what that sounds like. No way does that sound like some crazy ass anti-Semitic white supremacist bullshit. Of course it does. So you could come out and be with the ADL on that and defend their legitimate great work on taking on extremism, and defend them also from Elon Musk and company's raging anti-Semitic attacks, and also criticize them for being so anti-pro-Palestinian rights. So, with that out of the way, Musk has been going after the ADL Musk has been making these bizarre claims. He's been going after George Soros, talking about how Soros is trying to destroy Western civilization. On top of liking tweets from people talking about how there's no such thing as anti-black racism. It's pretty clear who Musk is at this point. It's no surprise. But as the owner of a company who's bleeding advertisers, and Musk is resorting to, just earlier today, he dropped into Taylor Swift's mentions, begging her basically to post content, to post music or music videos and stuff to the platform. I mean, clearly he's getting desperate here. But he also can't stop being who he is. And also part of it is I really do think he's an insecure guy who feeds off of this love from other insecure people, like the Elon Musk simps, the Tesla fanboys, and especially the right-wing freaks who, get on their knees for him, basically. And he does that for them, too. But, so Musk, realizing probably he needs to do something to appease the mainstream audience, brands, and advertisers, he decides, I can't be anti-Semitic if I'm sitting down with Benjamin Netanyahu, right? The Israeli prime minister, of course. Nothing anti-Semitic. Can't be anti-Semitic if you do that, of course. Besides the fact that a lot of raging right-wingers agree with a lot of Netanyahu's views, except the whole being Jewish thing. That's a big negative for them when it comes to Israelis, and Netanyahu. So when he sat down though with Netanyahu, and we're gonna watch a little bit of this video later, but this deserves its own little discussion. He goes out there and he starts talking about how, they talk about AI, they talk about Netanyahu brings up the anti-Semitism stuff, and Musk tries to get out of that conversation as quickly as possible. And one of the things he jumps to and he just sort of throws out there is that he's going to charge the users of Twitter, now known as X, a small nominal fee because it's the only way to stop the bots. Now, this isn't the first time he said this. He said this back in November. He brought this idea up. That's been his big spiel for a while now. The only way to stop bots is for you to pay me to prove that you're real. That was his whole reasoning for launching Twitter Blue, which, as you all know, if you've followed my reporting over the past year, has been a pretty big failure. They might. They're either very close to it or just hit it. They might have finally, after nearly a year, hit 1 million paying subscribers. 1 million people paying $8 a month. $8 million a month. What? Roughly what? What is that? $96 million a year. This is a company that made multi-billions of dollars based on advertising revenue. And they're bleeding advertisers. They've already, from the beginning, they lost half of their biggest advertisers. The numbers I've seen is 60% of advertisers aren't returning to the platform. 96 million versus a couple billion lost. Which is more to you? Which is more money to you? I guess it's not. I think one analyst came up with a number like Elon Musk needed 70 million paying Twitter Blue subscribers to make up for the loss in advertising revenue. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Maybe maybe after 70 years, if there's no churn, if every Twitter Blue subscriber keeps subscribing and they continue, like they renew their subscription every month, no one leaves, and they gain the same amount they did this year every year after 70 years, perhaps they will finally have 70 million subscribers. But that's been his longtime spiel that people need to pay him to stop the bots. Now, I mean, it's clearly bullshit. It's clearly bullshit. I mean, first of all, I've also had a report that came out that showcased just how many of Elon Musk's followers now can't outright prove up front that this is a bot. But there's a number of tells, obviously. For example, if you have a bunch of followers that have never tweeted before, it's a good chance a good portion of those people, not all of them, some of them might have signed up for an account and just follow people, but it's a good chance a lot of them aren't real or inactive at the very least. On top of that, if they also have 0 followers of their own, good chance they're not real. If they've never uploaded a profile photo, like they just use the default, again, there's people who keep it, so not all, but a good portion of them, not real. If your username is just a bunch of numbers, like John 1-5-10-9-8-2-3-4-5-2-3-6-7-8-9, and you didn't even take a minute to create a unique handle for yourself, again, not all, but a good portion of them inactive or not real. So, something around... Let me pull up my reporting here. So of the 153 at the time, over 153 million accounts that followed Musk, 42% of Musk's followers, more than 65 million, had 0 followers on their own account. More than 62.5 million, 0 tweets. So, a lot of them probably not real. And if Musk wanted to do something about it, it'd probably be pretty easy. Just remove those accounts. Now, Twitter has the capacity to tell even better than I can, just looking at these stats, who most likely is a bot and who most likely is real. So they could even, with more precision, suspend bot accounts. But they don't do that. Why? Because those accounts are being used to buoy Twitter stats. Musk's own account is padded by that. He wouldn't be... this is stuff coming out soon. A little sneak peek, but I can tell you right now that without those bot accounts, Musk wouldn't be the most followed account on Twitter. On top of that, Twitter's out there saying they've doubled their monthly active users. They went from something like 250 million monthly active users last October, right before Musk acquired the company, and now they're saying they have over 500 million active users. It does. I believe that due to the brouhaha Musk has caused over the past year, I do believe that Twitter probably has gained monthly active users, even with the people leaving. I do believe that. Doubling it, though, more than doubling it, basically, it took Twitter from 2006 to 23 to get 250 million active users. Almost 20 years. And in 1 year, Musk is claiming to have doubled the monthly active users. There's clearly, in my opinion, messing with the stats. I'm sorry. They're calculating monthly active users differently. For a while, Musk wasn't even going by that. I guess while they were trying to finagle how to calculate them, he started going by a metric that nobody in the industry uses, which is unregretted user minutes spent on the platform. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And he would constantly go, "Oh, unregretted user minutes are going way up." No, what is that? Who cares? What that means nothing. It's like coming up with your own world record. I am the only person. I'm Matt Binder. I'm the only person ever to sit in this chair, in this closeted space, in this building in New York City, doing 4-hour streams. First person ever. I've made history. I mean, that's the equivalent of that. Just making up stats, making up records. It's ridiculous. So, what I think here is and I didn't cover this. I saw the news. I didn't cover it. The outlet I write for ended up covering it. They ended up covering it when everyone else started covering it. So I think that makes it newsworthy when all these other outlets start jumping on it. For you to responsibly cover it. But I saw it really early. I was watching the interview. And I was like, I'm not covering this because I don't trust what this guy says. I have a very specific rule covering for myself when covering Musk. And I'm able to people trust my editors and stuff trust me because this is I would say I'm pretty trustworthy Twitter expert by this point. And I don't cover things Musk just randomly throws out there in interviews. If the platform itself from official channels announces something, I'll cover that. But if it's just Musk talking out of his ass in some interview on some media, or with world leader or something, I mean, unless he said something crazy with those, to those world leaders. But if he's talking about the platform specifically, something he's going to do, I need a little bit more than just Musk talking out of his ass for me to deem it newsworthy. So yeah, I mean, he says he's gonna do this. He said this last year. I won't be shocked if he doesn't do it. I won't be shocked if he does do it. It's something that could go either way. Because just bringing it up is stupid. The idea that you would charge for a platform like Twitter is so stupid. It's not a niche platform. It's not like, oh, you're getting some access to some private forum where experts in this field are going to tell you whatever you need to know so you could further your career. And only these people in this little group are going to... No, it's not that at all. And it's not some larger niche forum where it's like, oh, this is like the biggest forum for this very specific, like, small hobby I'm into. And like, I need to support this forum so we could keep this hobby. That's not either. That's not what it is either. Platforms like Twitter, their whole appeal is the broad range, well, it used to be, the broad range of users that you could reach, you could network with, you could talk to. And if you charge for that, people aren't going to pay. And then you automatically lose the whole selling point of Twitter because a large swath of very specific groups of people who don't want to pay, people who can't afford to pay, people who have no interest in paying because it doesn't align with their interests. You lose those people, and then why would you pay for a platform that ostensibly it's to network with anybody and everybody? You would just put that money towards what I just mentioned before, those niche groups where you can target and reach specific people. So, if he rolled out a payment option for it, listen, I'm not going to say it's going to kill Twitter. We've seen time and time again that a platform of this size and age could keep rolling on. But I think I could count it out as being one of the mainstream, like, big tech platforms. I think it would lose a large part of its user base. He just doesn't understand who uses it. He's in this bubble with these right wingers and these, fake it till you make it tech founders, the Tesla simps who would pay for it and use Twitter in a very specific way where it makes sense to them to pay for it. But the vast majority of people on Twitter use it for news, which use it for their news feed, I should say, which they'll just go to a different place to get a news feed. Or they'll just go directly to the source, which is not Twitter. It's the platforms and users that post to Twitter. Or it's people who just shoot off whatever they're thinking of or whatever they're watching on TV. That's what sports Twitter is. People just mindlessly doing like couch commentary or analytics, like sports analytics. And if they got to pay for that, they're not going to do it there. It's not their job. They don't make money off of it. There are the platforms where they can do it for free, so they'll do that. He just doesn't get what he's got. He just doesn't get what Twitter is. He never understood. The way he talks about it, you can just see the way he talks about it. He doesn't know what it is and how people use it. He treats it like it's up there with like movies and TV shows and things like that. Is it a form of entertainment? For some people, yeah, but not in that way. It's not a content producer. It's a platform for people who produce content to promote their shit on there. He just doesn't understand. It would be like if the fucking movie theaters showed up at the Oscars and expected like an award for the production of a movie. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It would be like a Times Square billboard company asking Taylor Swift for a cut of her revenue because her record label put an ad up on their billboard. He just doesn't understand why people use Twitter. All right, let's get to this video now. Because I think you got the point of him wanting people to pay. Will he do it? Who knows? We will see. We will see. All right, let's pull this up. Let's watch this video. Now let me put me picture in picture here. Give me a second to set this up. There I am. And let's take out that background. Let's zoom in. Oh, can I make this bigger with? Oh, there I am. Cool. Okay, so I can do that. Cool. All right, so here's Musk. Let me make sure you could hear it too. Oh no, it's not playing. What? Oh, I know what's wrong. I know what I did. Hold on. I gotta change the source. You should hear this now. Let's see.
I think these regimes.
You do. All right. I'll put it louder.
Based on the ability.
Still not loud enough. Still not loud enough.
To control the minds of their people.
Much better. Much better. Okay. Control the minds of their people. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. All right. Let's listen to a segment now of this interview with Elon Musk and Netanyahu. Now, I tried to cue it up best I could. A little bit of stuff before. They're talking about free speech and how important it is for this mission that Elon Musk is on. But the reason I think this segment is interesting is because Netanyahu cannot be a more sympathetic figure to Musk. Again, this guy is a right-winger. Far right-winger. But he's Jewish. So he's not white supremacist, neo-Nazi right-winger. But he's pretty far right. So he's sympathetic to Musk. And this Musk's whole sort of spiel about free speech. But then because he's got his own sort of legacy to uphold, he does push back on Musk ever so lightly in the most friendliest of manner to get Musk to come out and say more against anti-Semitism. Again, this is super interesting because this is a guy who you're going to see it and you're going to be like, man, Netanyahu's a huge fan of Musk. He's queuing up softballs for him. Could not make this any easier for the guy. Watch how Musk just cannot bring himself to outright do it. He just cannot. Just watch this clip. It's amazing. Come on. I might have to refresh. Hold on.
Adult life to preventing it. And the National
All right, here we
Security
go.
Advisor. I mean, that's really chutzpah, you know. So don't be calmed
I just thought it was
by Charles Dickens' language.
No, it was very nice language, but I was like sort of, it would have been just frankly just pretty epic if it said P.S. Death to America. I was like, by the way, Death to America.
I have no idea what he's talking about here. I don't remember this part.
That's an interesting subject, which I hope we can pursue later on today.
Here we go. Here we go.
I think these regimes basically are based on the ability to control the minds of their people, and to the extent that you can facilitate what I know you believe in deeply, which is pluralistic views to be heard. Well, people are discussing it all over the place in the free world, but what makes the unfree world unfree is that you can't have this discussion.
Yeah,
you can't do anything.
Right, totally. I think it's, I think the founders of the United States, or
here's Netanyahu giving Musk all the props for the free speech bullshit and rhetoric. Could not be giving him a bigger pat on the back. Say something else. But just keep watching. It's It definitely is interesting. It's amazing.
Thereafter, with the First Amendment being free speech, was a very wise amendment, because you said, why did they care about that so much? Is because the places that they came from, they didn't have free speech. So the places they immigrated from, the speech was, the press and everything was very much controlled. And to your point, I think if you don't have free speech and discussion of often difficult and contentious ideas that necessarily not everyone agrees with, then you don't really. It's very, very difficult to have an effective democracy, or because the people are voting based on the information that they receive, and if they do not know what's going on, or if they're fed a false narrative, then they cannot make their vote. They cannot vote sensibly because they don't have the information.
Well, I know your commitment to free speech. I respect that, because I think it's an integral. It's the foundational thing of democracies.
Again, it's free speech is related to the government. These platforms don't. He could if he'd like. It's his company. If he wants to let Nazis, and it's nothing to do with free speech, though. Free speech is the First Amendment, which he brought up, and the founders, which he brought up. They were talking about the government, because companies and people have a right also for free speech, in relation to how they run their own lives or their own company. And if they decide to not let certain shit fly, that is their free speech rights. But again, that's not the point here. Let's continue. Of course, he's an idiot.
Really. But I also know your opposition to anti-Semitism. You've spoken about it, tweeted about it. And all I can say is I hope you find within the confines of the First Amendment the ability to stop not only anti-Semitism or roll it back as best you can, but any collective hatred of a people that anti-Semitism represents. And I know you're committed to that. I hope you succeed in it. It's not an easy task, but I encourage you and urge you to find a balance.
I know it's gross how he's giving Musk these props. That's undeserved because Musk has not done a good job or even tried. In fact, he's stoked it and promoted it and liked it and shared it and given some of these guys thousands upon thousands of dollars actually through the monetization program that they just launched, which actually encourages that type of stuff in order to make the money. But that's expected from Netanyahu. In fact, I'm happy he does this in this clip because it just makes Musk's response to Netanyahu even more deranged. Just listen.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally, I'm sort of against attacking any group. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm
Netanyahu asked him about anti-Semitism. Musk just pulled an all lives matter. Let's continue.
I'm in favor of that which furthers civilization and which ultimately leads us to become a spacefaring civilization and where we understand the nature of the universe. So we can't do that if there's a lot of infighting and and hatred and negativity. So obviously I'm against anti-Semitism. I'm against really anything that is that promotes hate and conflict. And I'm in favor of that which helps build society and take us to a better future for humanity collectively. So. And now this sometimes is this like I think one can actually argue that really everyone should have this view. All it requires is long-term thinking, and if you're long-term thinking, you say like, okay, well, so basically you can say like even if, hypothetically, if someone is say completely self-centered, well, it's like, well, can you how would you feel about if you didn't have civilization? It's very easy to figure that out. Just go into the forest with nothing and see how long you want to live there.
He loves these stupid analogies.
Just watch an episode.
He thinks it makes him sound very smart.
See how long you live. You'll be diverse.
This is like
so it's like civilization.
Tim Pool trolley problem level thinking.
It's easy to experience not civilization by just going into some place where there are no people and seeing what it's like, and you very quickly come back to civilization. So, unless you're Ted Kaczynski or something, so you like living in the forest. So now free speech does at times mean that someone you don't like is saying something you don't like. If you don't have that, then it's not free speech. Now that doesn't mean some sort of negativity should be pushed upon people, because for the X platform, unless it's interesting, entertaining, engaging, then we will lose users. People will want to not use our system if they find it to be unpleasant. Our overarching goal for the X platform is to maximize unregretted user time.
Oh, he just did.
So
he just threw that out there again. I forgot about that. I told you guys he just threw this bullshit metric. What is that? How does a platform even measure that? How do you know what the user regrets?
If you spend half an hour on the X platform, Did you learn a lot? Were you entertained? Did you perhaps laugh a little bit? In fact, I find it to be the best source of humor. I laugh more on stuff that I read on X than everything else combined. So, I think that's a good thing. But it's also important to bear in mind that there are 500 million.
Throwing out that number.
Monthly users now going to maybe 600 million monthly users.
Oh, wait. I thought he said active here. I've noticed that he never has, or when I've seen it. I thought he said it here, though. Pay attention to that, actually. I think that's important. And it actually bears out what I was telling you guys before. Twitter does not have 550 million monthly active users. And Musk knows that, which is why he didn't use that term. 550 monthly users is what he said, not active users. How do they measure a monthly user? Who knows? They're certainly not active, because otherwise he would have said that. They've been very careful to not use that word active when using that extremely much larger number. I've noticed that time and time again. I thought he actually started using active users in this interview, but apparently he doesn't. It's purposeful. It's you got to pay attention to this sort of stuff. He doesn't know a lot, but what he knows, he's very good at being sneaky about. And he's very good at bullshitting. He's very good at being the snake oil salesman. He's very good at selling himself. He's a master at it. Look how successful he is, based on selling himself.
Any given day, there's on the order of 100 to 200 million posts to the system. This is a lot of material. So in amongst the 100 or 200 million, and I'm excluding retweets and reposts, as I say, new wording.
He doesn't even know what it's called anymore. You can't even stop calling it Twitter and tweets.
Bad. It's impossible to say. You can't police it in advance, but you can say after the fact, it's getting reported as hate speech. Okay, well, we're going to de-amplify. We're not going to promote hate speech, so because we think probably that's not what people want to hear.
Well, I think the other thing.
I just want to point out that Netanyahu asked him about anti-Semitism and the work that Musk is doing that he hopes to combat it. Musk went on for about, 6-7 minutes on he's anti-something. All lives matter, basically. Then he went on to talking about civilization and what would we do if we were all living in the forest? We wouldn't survive. To how funny he finds Twitter. It's his form of entertainment. He thinks Twitter is the funniest thing out there. To promoting Twitter's bullshit analytics, like unregretted user minutes, and then carefully saying that they have 500 monthly users now, not active, monthly users now. Who knows how they calculate that? All that time. And then Yahoo's sitting there. And I'm happy he does this. He could have moved on, but I guess he very gently wants to get something more out of him on this. Because again, Netanyahu's got to worry about his own legacy and his own self as well. But what about the anti-Semitism? Let's continue here. This is good.
It doesn't stop you from coming out as you have and as I do on every possible forum and condemn.
Again, being as kind as possible to Musk.
Anti-Semitism, it's just as collective hatred of a people. You say they have to be banished. They don't have a right to exist. They don't have a right to a state of their own, and so on. And the vile things that are said, I don't care if they come from the hard left or from the hard right or white supremacists or, I don't know, ultra progressives. For me, that's something that I condemn, and I think that it's important to come out. And that's quite a separate question. The condemnation is quite separate from the question of access. The one access idea that I have, and I don't even know if it's technically possible, is to prevent the use of, bots, armies of bots, to replicate and amplify it. So at least if you get a crazy guy and a hateful guy, let him be speaking for one voice rather than arming, an army of an army of fake millions to do this.
Absolutely. This is actually a super tough problem. And it's probably really, I'd say that maybe the single most important reason that we're moving to having a small monthly payment for use of the X system is it's the only way I can think of to combat vast armies of bots.
There he does. That's the moment where he comes out and says he's gonna start charging for the platform.
Because a bot costs a fraction of a penny, call it a tenth of a penny. But if somebody even has to pay, a few dollars or something, some minor amount, the effective cost of bots is very high, and then you also have to get a new payment method every time you have a new bot. So that actually, the constraint of how many different credit cards you can find, even on the dark web or whatever, and then prioritizing posts that are written by basically ex-premium subscribers, and we're actually going to come out with a lower tier pricing. So it's, we want it to be just a small amount of money. This is and it's a longer discussion, but in my view, this is actually the only defense against vast armies of bots. Mm-hmm. Because as the AI gets very good, it's actually able to pass these sort of captcha tests better than humans. In fact, one of the ways you might say, like, wait a second, this passing the test too fast. That must be a robot. It must be AI, because a human would be much slower.
But you're saying that all these things are happening at such a rapid exponential rate that our discussion, the means we're talking about, we're really so far behind the curve that we're not really addressing as leaders of technology, leaders of nations, leaders of technological nations, we're not really addressing these massive changes that are changing humanity and our world and our future. Not in the future, it's right now. And we're not dealing with it. And I'm concerned, I'm coming here to talk about what we do because, nobody's done it before. Usually, I'm a fairly, I don't want to say I'm a lazy reformer. I helped reform the Israeli economy from a semi-socialist economy.
All right, they move on, I guess, from the anti-Semitism discussion, but Netanyahu brought it up again, and Musk punted once more to bring up bots and how he's going to start charging for Twitter. And there's going to be a new tier for Twitter X Premium, Twitter Blue. Just, could not have had more opportunities. Hey, I'm sitting here with you, baby. Isn't that enough? You're going to make me actually say the words? You make me actually say I condemn anti-Semitism? Nah, you're not getting that out of me, buddy. Because I, Elon Musk, do not condemn it. Yeah, just a gross guy, really. Two gross guys.
To one of them.
Anyway. Let's go to. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do the Neuralink thing. What time is it? Oh wow, I already went an hour. I really am a machine, aren't I? Talk about bots. Might have to double check if I'm one. I'm a machine. All right, so Neuralink. Where is this? Let me pull this up. 1 second. Wait, is it possible to just? It might make sense to just do it like this, right? Oh wait, why does it look like that? How do I just? I don't want the whole screen. I want. There we go. That looks much nicer. Beautiful. Cool. So Neuralink is in the news today because the company has announced that they are now open for in-human clinical trials. Now, Neuralink is Elon Musk's brain implant company. They have touted it as having all sorts of benefits, specifically for people who have some sort of disabilities, paraplegics, and it sounds amazing if it bears out, obviously, I guess. I've seen people who, are live their lives in wheelchairs, or have other ailments talk about Neuralink in a way they would talk about any sort of, next step in medical technology. They're hoping it could help them, and that it would be truly wonderful if that was the case. But this is Elon Musk. It's his company, and he likes to tout a lot, likes to put a lot of hope out there, and I think it's sort of possibly the worst sort of thing to put the hope out there for if he can't deliver on this one. This isn't like Tesla and its full self-driving cars, which aren't. This isn't like putting a man on Mars that he promised would happen in 10 years, that he promised 15 years ago or whatever it was. This is people's lives. This is like, putting hope out there for people to once again live the way that they would like, and to not be able to deliver on that because you could never deliver on it would truly be, in my opinion, maybe the biggest dick move Musk would ever do. That would be it. That would top it all, if you ask me. But we'll see about that, I guess. But anyway, this brain implant company, would you guys let Elon Musk's company put a chip in your brain? I don't know. But apparently, I wouldn't. But they're going to start doing human clinical trials. Musk, really. Imagine if Stephen Hawking had this. What a shitty thing to say. Really, what a shitty thing to say. If I was Stephen Hawking's family, I would fucking be so upset over him using my family member's name to promote his bullshit. Just really. Deliver first. Deliver first, man. But no, he can't do that. He can't do that. He's got to, because that's his whole shtick. The hype man, Elon Musk. But anyway, on the same day, Elon Musk announces that Neuralink is looking for human patients to have the Neuralink device implanted in their brain. You might remember earlier this month when Elon Musk said in reply to someone that was bringing up this has come out. Neuralink has reported that, monkeys that they had been testing on had died as a result of these brain implants. It was a big story. Well, Musk came out earlier this month and said, no monkey has died as a result of a Neuralink implant. First, our early implants to minimize risk to healthy monkeys, we chose terminal monkeys close to death already. He misspelled monkeys as terminal monies, but he claimed that A, no monkey died from a Neuralink, and then B, they didn't do tests on healthy monkeys anyway. They were only sickly terminal monkeys. So on the same day, now fast forward to today, on the same day Musk announces Neuralink will be transplanting this device in people's brains soon in human clinical trial, this story from Wired came out. I'm sorry if I mess up your name. To the reporter, one of the reporters here, Dhruv Mehrotra and Del Cameron of Wired report the gruesome story of how Neuralink's monkeys actually died. Now, remember, as part of Neuralink's filings, because this is a medical company, they have to submit to the FDA, I guess. Not I guess, they do. They have to submit the trial and how things went. And as part of this, they had said monkeys had died as a result of this. Musk now claiming they haven't. But this new story with new information says otherwise. So Wired spoke with former Neuralink employee and a current researcher at University of California, the University of California Davis Primate Center, and new public records reviewed by Wired. And Musk lied, obviously. He lied. And an organization, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, a nonprofit that wants to abolish live animal testing, has submitted a letter to the SEC calling for them to investigate Musk's, what we know to be lies, because it's misleading investors. And I'm going to read some of this stuff. I implore you to all go check out the story. Google Wired gruesome story of how Neuralink's monkeys actually died. I'm going to read some of this because it's horrific. This is coming from former Neuralink employee. UC Davis veterinarians and public records. In an experimental surgery that took place in December 2019, performed to determine the survivability of an implant, an internal part of the device broke off while being implanted. Overnight, researchers observed the monkey, identified only as Animal 20 by UC Davis, scratching at the surgical site, which emitted a bloody discharge, and yanking on a connector that eventually dislodged part of the device. A surgery to repair the issue was carried out the following day, yet fungal and bacterial infections took root. Vet records note that neither infection was likely to be cleared, in part because the implant was covering the infected area. The monkey was euthanized on January 6, 2020. Here's another one. A female monkey called Animal 15. This is a completely different veterinary report. During the months leading up to her death in March 2019, these reports come from. Days after her implant surgery, Animal 15 began to press her head against the floor for no apparent reason. A symptom of pain or infection, the records say. Staff observed that though she was uncomfortable picking and pulling at her implant until it bled, she would often lie at the foot of her cage and spend time holding hands with her roommate. Animal 15 began to lose coordination, and staff observed that she would shake uncontrollably when she saw lab workers. Her condition deteriorated for months until the staff finally euthanized her. A report indicates that she had bleeding in her brain and that the Neuralink implants left parts of her cerebral cortex focally tattered. I'm going to read another one. Animal 22 was euthanized in March 2020 after his cranial implant became loose. A report revealed that 2 of the screws securing the implant to the skull loosened to the extent that they could easily be lifted out. The report for Animal 22 clearly states that the failure of this implant can be considered purely mechanical and not exacerbated by infection. They tortured these monkeys. They tortured these monkeys. And on his claim that these were only sick monkeys that were going to die anyway, a former Neuralink employee, speaking to Wired, has something to say about that. Shown a copy of Musk's remarks on X about Neuralink's animal subjects, the monkeys, being close to death already. Remember, he claimed they were terminal sick monkeys. A former Neuralink employee alleges to Wired that the claim is ridiculous, if not a straight fabrication. We had these monkeys for a year or so before any surgery was performed, they said. The ex-employee who requested anonymity for fear of retaliation says that up to a year's worth of behavioral training was necessary for the program, a time frame that would exempt subjects already close to death. There's another one here. A doctoral candidate, currently conducting research at the CNPRC granted an anonymity due to a fear of professional retaliation, likewise questions Musk's claim regarding the baseline health of Neuralink's monkeys. These are pretty young monkeys, they told Wired. It's hard to imagine that these monkeys, who were not adults, were terminal for some reason. Well, Musk's going to start putting this in people's brains. Musk's going to start putting the Musk's going to start putting these Neuralink devices in human brains now. And of course, we'll see how that goes. I mean, this is just listen, there's going to be people who think and argue that animal testing is necessary. It's needed. I mean, mean, the fact of the matter is that this guy is just lying about what happened to these animals. I mean, that's really the point. To move on to a discussion of whether the animal testing is necessary for medical benefits for people in the future. This is just, it's a different conversation to have, but this guy is outright lying about what they did to these monkeys, which shows how much they actually cared for these monkeys. When the boss is saying that, oh, what actually happened didn't happen. And that these monkeys were going to die anyway. What are they going to do when if these implants fail in people and people start dying? He's going to skirt responsibility then? Probably. I mean, we've already seen how he views these monkeys. Oh, it must have been, they were vaxxed. That paraplegic we put the implant in, it wasn't the brain implant that got loose and scattered their cranial matter. It was they were vaxxed. That's what we'll hear. I mean, it's gross. This guy is just appalling. This guy's appalling. Just a bad person. All the money in the world wouldn't convince me to be that guy. I'm happy to not be to not have his life, quite frankly. Because to be him would be a miserable existence because of who he is. Just what a terrible guy. All right. Let's go to the second half of the show. But first, folks, I'm going to be taking your phone calls. Don't go anywhere. Reading your super chats. I'm going to open up Skype in a second so you could call in. The Skype number, just search Doomed Live. One word, Doomed Live. But before I open up the Skype, patreon.com/MattBinder. I see the way forward with this show. And it's getting more content up on YouTube. And to do that, I'm without a doubt going to need to bring on someone to help. The YouTube channel is growing. The views are going up. But it's not going to be with the live stream. But like each of these audiences, I'm going to be like just, let's talk shop here. Each of these audiences I have are very different. And there isn't very much overlap. All of you in the live chat here, you might also watch like the uploaded videos that I do every now and then, or I haven't done one in a while, but you weren't the same audience in totality. And that audience that watches those videos, they ain't in the live stream. Even people who catch the replay, they ain't in this live stream. And then furthermore, people who follow me there's some overlap, but people who follow me on social media who read my written stuff, but that's another thing. The newsletter I need to get going too, to get that audience invested here too. They ain't watching the live stream. Some of them might be. The majority of them are not. And it just goes on. So I'm going to need to keep doing this live stream for all of you fine folks, but also get this newsletter out and do uploaded videos for YouTube. So I'm going to need some help. And to get that help, the show needs to bring in some sort of funds. And many of you do. I'm going to read some off of these people right now. Michael B., Mac M., Christine T., Michael J. Thank you all for becoming patrons. You guys are going to make the growth of this channel, this show, the podcasts, you're going to make it all happen. Because I'm going to be able to bring in someone to help me out, thanks to you guys and gals. But I need more supporters to be able to continue to fund that. So patreon.com/MattBinder. If you enjoy any of it, the live streams, the podcasts, either podcast, Your support's greatly appreciated. If you can't afford to do so, this is not targeted at you. Please, I always say this, take care of yourself, your family, whatever you need to do first in your own life. You got some extra spending money? That's who I'm trying to convince. Those people looking for a podcast or a Patreon or a streamer to support, or someone looking for where should my entertainment money go this week, or where's that the funds I give to subscribe to this magazine or this streaming service? Who's gonna go to this week, this month, this year, whatever it is? Patreon.com/MattBinder. I'm talking to you guys. YouTube.com/MattBinder. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a super chat if you'd like. I'll read super chats. YouTube.com/MattBinder. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, go to twitch.tv/MattBinder and drop that free Twitch Prime subscription that comes with your Amazon Prime subscription. If you don't use it, you're basically just giving Amazon your money, extra money that you could be giving to your favorite creator. So please, definitely, do not let that go to waste. Tokyo Hans resubscribed for 1 month over at Twitch. Subscriber for 15 months. Thank you. Johnny5 is alive. Subscribe at Prime. First time subscribing. Thank you so much, Johnny5 is alive. Taru's 100 subscriber Prime just now. Just this minute. Thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate it. Oh, let me shout out I forgot to mention, the YouTube memberships are on now too. YouTube takes a bit of a bigger cut than Patreon does. But if you prefer to give on YouTube, I'm not going to complain. Got a bunch of people who subscribed over on YouTube, because you could gift YouTube subscriptions too, which is cool. And so thank you to everyone doing that. But David G, Inspassassy, Django, Nachiket, T King, Lisa, Danny JB, Matthew Gross, Miss Siren, BG, DNK81, About to Sleep, Canadian Bacon, Ignore Husky, Nisa H, Andy K, Small Rat, Mr. Braindead. Thank you all for becoming YouTube members over the past week. Really appreciate it. Oh, Ricky Biz, resubscriber Prime. Subscriber for 10 months. Tony Riz on that Binder Biz, says Ricky Biz. Thank you so much. Hell yeah. And we got a Patreon coming in. Josh B, thank you so much. Hype Train happening over on Twitch right now. Thanks to Mikkel Sad, who just subscribed at Prime. Thank you so much, Mikkel, and everyone who just gave over on Twitch. See, things coming together. Just gotta ask, I guess, right? I'm terrible at it, though. I need to do a better job of promoting how people could support. And also need to do a better job of uploading the podcast and things like that. Just not enough time in the day, man. Just not enough time. All right. Let's go to the second half of the show. Gonna read these super chats. Gonna take them calls. Gonna talk. Let's do it. Folks, if you're watching live, if you're a Patreon subscriber, don't go anywhere. You know how this is. I'm just going to put up a quick little graphic on the screen for like a minute while I take a second to catch my breath, drink my soda. And I'm going to be right back here on this stream. You don't have to go anywhere. But if you were listening to the podcast-only version of the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, well, you should also leave a review there if you haven't already, any of those platforms. But if you're listening to the show and you're hearing me say this, this is where I say to just you freebie podcast listeners that this is where I say goodbye, farewell, arrivederci. I will see you all next time on Doom.
ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, education masses, rampant homophobia,
What's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're a conservative. What makes you a liberal? I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes. Really? Absolutely. Really? I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. And I forgot to open up Skype. It's all right. Take a second. I'm getting nervous about this computer. It's I checked how much SSD life it's got left. It's at 70%. I don't like that. It makes me worried. My last MacBook died on me, and it sucked big time. So I don't like the idea that this computer is probably need to get a new Mac Mini at some point. But like the Mac Studio, get extra life out of it with a bigger drive, last longer. I bought too small of a hard drive. Makes the SSD life last much less. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
G'day, Matt. It's John from Australia. How you doing?
John from Australia, one of my absolute favorite callers. Haven't heard from you for a little bit. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah. Just been busy, working over here, and we're getting out of winter, so we've got. I can't remember what it is. Is it El Nino or La Nina?
I don't know.
Whichever one's hot. El Nino.
Yeah, I think it's El Nino. Yeah.
Yeah. So our weather bureau has just declared that we're officially entering El Nino here, so we're going to have a particularly hot summer.
Ah.
So I'm not looking forward to that, but
right, it's going to be summer over there. I forget that. Yeah, I got to remember. You guys south of the equator have your summer when we have our winter. We're headed into the cold season. We're about to hit fall.
That's something that's sort of prevalent all over the internet. Northern hemisphere supremacists, totally forgetting that everything's the opposite way around.
Yeah.
How do you think we feel watching Christmas movies and they're all set in winter?
Right. That's so. When Santa Claus comes to town down there, what does he do? Is he like going down the chimney in a slip and slide or something? Like, what's he? He doesn't need the sleigh, right?
He's wearing shorts for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't need the sleigh, right? He doesn't need the sled with the reindeer pulling it. He doesn't need the whole outfit. He doesn't need the milk and cookies. He needs what? He needs like a Arnold Palmer. You just leave him out like Arnold Palmer and leave him out lemonade and
it shouldn't surprise you that, given the sort of given that we're a white colony here, a lot of the Santa Claus stuff has been brought over and has sort of morphed to suit. So Santa Claus does come to Australia. When he does,
Hey, for
arrive
me,
in
Santa
Australia-
Claus. For me, Santa Claus at this point is non-denominational.
Oh, for sure.
Any kid who wants to celebrate Santa Claus should be allowed to, because there's nothing religious about it. It's completely devoid of any of that.
Oh, absolutely. But what he
just
does
let
when
the-
he gets here is that he parks the reindeer and changes them for kangaroos. He puts on his shorts.
Ah! Wait, does he really get kangaroos over there? Are you joking?
That's what I learned growing up.
Okay, so he exchanges the reindeer for kangaroos. He puts on a pair of shorts. What else?
He puts on a wide-brimmed hat with all of the corks hanging off of it to keep the flies away. He, I think what we used to do is leave out a bottle of beer for him.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you leave out Foster's Australian for beer?
No, no one drinks Foster's here, mate. No one
How
drinks
does all those commercials growing up, man? When I was a kid, those commercials were on the radio, on TV. How to speak Australian? Oh, it was just all the time.
That's all marketing stuff. No, we don't drink Foster's here.
Yeah.
No, we
makes
leave
sense.
out VB. VB is what Santa would drink.
All right. Cool.
It's worse beer than Foster's.
What do you guys do about Frosty? Frosty the Snowman. What's your version of Frosty the Snowman down
We
there?
don't have Frosty the Snowman.
Mm.
Snow doesn't last long over here, mate.
Are you aware of who Frosty the Snowman is?
I think I remember the stop motion character sort of cartoons that you would watch, but beyond that, no.
All right. Does
The most snow we've seen, the most snow I saw growing up here was once when I was growing up, it snowed for a couple of minutes, and on the side of the highway, just covered in dirt, and because all the cars had driven through it, I saw a bunch of muddy snow on the side of the highway.
What do you guys did you have a special kangaroo like we have Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer? Do you got a superhero, a super powered kangaroo or something?
Yeah, I think there was one. I can't recall off the top of my head, but I think growing up as a kid there was a song or something about a special kangaroo that led the group of bigger kangaroos, something like that.
Oh, cool. All right, this is interesting for me. I'm a big Christmas guy. I love Christmas. And again, don't care about the religious. I mean, I think it's important for people to learn about it. You don't need to. I think people should learn about every religion, every and any religion. But I'm a big Christmas guy, big Santa Claus guy. Still believe Santa's real, baby. Let's. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, just on that point quickly, you said that it's sort of Christmas is non-denominational for you, et cetera, right? It's definitely that way here as well. But I think that something that I found quite shocking. So to bring this into a more sort of socio-political, socio-cultural sphere. So I think it's about 40% of Australians, as of the last census, have no religious affiliation. And I was quite shocked to find out that, because I figured, America would probably be the same. No, it's not. It's shockingly low. Isn't it
It's
10,
growing.
15%?
I remember seeing it was growing. I mean, this country it's cooked, man. I mean, we are so far gone. But I don't know what the numbers is. I do recall hearing it was growing, but I don't know if that's still the case. How many Americans don't believe in religion or non-denominational?
Well, numbers I'm seeing here about 40% as well. Interesting.
I'm seeing about 30, but still it's going up. It's going up. According to Pew, 3 in 10 U.S. adults are religious nuns, as in they don't believe in religion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you could probably consider that it's based on how the United States is. It's probably a little bit different from most other countries in terms of how those demographics are split. And I would assume that like those nuns are probably all in very particular areas where they probably feel like they are bigger in numbers because everyone around them is in the nuns category too. But I will say this, that even as a Catholic who isn't really Catholic, I mean, I'm a nun's as well, although I was baptized and I was very religious as a kid. I was an altar server. I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school. I will say though that most, at least New York Catholics I've come across, really New York religious people I've come across in general, Jewish people especially, but that seems to be the case about Jewish Americans in particular, as long as they're not like Orthodox. They believe in the religion in terms of like they believe that there's like a heaven, I guess, or an afterlife maybe, or they go to synagogue or church because it's like a community thing to do, but they're not like lock in step with like religion in the way that like religious people are. They're just like casually religious.
It's a more complex question than perhaps a census can answer.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right. Because I also don't like. I'm also not a big fan of people who are. I mean, this is no surprise, being that myself and the majority report have been so vocally against like the new atheist types. I'm not such a big fan of the people who are all like scoffing at people who believe in religion either. Like, listen, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in heaven or hell. I don't believe any of that stuff. If I'm wrong, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to be like, oh man, in fact, if I'm wrong, better for me. There's an afterlife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't really, like, I don't believe in it because I don't think it makes sense in terms of what we know and what we have before us in terms of science and what's plausible and possible. But like, if you believe, power to you, and I hope you're right for my sake too.
Yeah, where it gets sort of questionable for me is where it starts to intertwine with politics, which is again what a lot of Americans are sort of dealing with. You're quite familiar with. I do want to quickly point out, someone in the chat said ask about Christmas beetles, and I hate to rain on their parade, but growing up, we had lots of Christmas beetles. Christmas beetles are like these little tiny, like dark brown, light brown beetles that would just fill the air around Christmas.
Are you
time.
serious? I didn't know about this.
They would be everywhere.
Christmas.
We call them Christmas beetles. Yeah, they'd be everywhere, right? These little, they don't bite or anything.
You got tons of crazy bugs down there, don't you?
Well, so here's the thing about Christmas beetles. The last maybe 10, maybe even 15 Christmases, they have been on the decline to the point where, like last Christmas, I didn't even see one. So that's probably got something to do with maybe some climate stuff. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
So I hate to rain on the parade, but yeah, Christmas beetles, like they were great fun running around as a kid. You would pick them up and
you got like
put them on your shirt and they'd like hold on.
Oh, they were like cool bugs, like fireflies. Like over here, we catch like lightning bugs, fireflies.
Yeah, they were cool. They didn't bite, or they're not icky or anything. They were very, very adorable little bugs.
Beetles usually aren't adorable. They're not gross like cockroaches, but they're not adorable either. They're just like, oh, get that beetle out of here.
But
you got like,
again, I'm from a country with lots of spiders and snakes, so.
Do you guys got like Hanukkah spiders and Kwanzaa snakes? I'm just making shit up because you guys got crazy spiders down there too, don't you?
We do. So my partner is from the West Coast. So one of the great fun things, sort of like when they moved here, was introducing them to all of the, like, this is like they would go, "Oh my god, there's a spider," and I would look at it, and it's like, you know, the size of say like a quarter, and I'd go, "That's not a big spider at all. What are you talking about?" And then, you know, we went up to my parents' place. My parents live in the middle of nowhere, and I got to show them a real spider, which is like the size of a full adult hand span, pinky to thumb tip, fully extended, and it's like that's a spider.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything about it because it's so big, and there's no way you can capture it. You kind of have to just hope that it stays behind the bookshelf.
Here the biggest spider we get. It's like a little one that big that like you if you see it in the house, at least I do. I get like a cup or a piece of paper, and I either take it outside, or I don't kill spiders, or I put it in the windowsill, like in between the screen and the window, so it could like catch gnats and flies and stuff like that. It works. They're great. I don't kill spiders. I'm not. If it was a really big spider, I don't know what I would do. But the ones we get, the little spiders, I easily pick up and grab and put it outside or somewhere where they can continue their work.
If I was calling in on my phone, I've got a photo of this particular one. If I was calling in on my phone, I would send it to you, and you could give the chat some water. Again, you could see how big this thing is.
Is it like tarantula size?
So they're thinner. They're not as like bulky and furry as tarantulas. They're thinner, but they are comparable in size. Yes.
Jeez. I actually think that's scary that they're thinner.
And they jump and they move absurdly fast, and they're not like chunky because they're quite flat, so that they can squeeze in between like very thin things. So they get between like your bookshelf against the wall, and it's impossible to track them down once they run away. And
I think like the biggest spider we get here, at least in New York, is a daddy long legs, and those are I haven't seen one of those in a while. So are they bigger than those guys? Is it like that?
If that's what I'm thinking, like if you take your hand and you stretch it out as far as you can, your entire hand, your thumb and your pinky, it's that far. Yeah. They're big.
That's big. That's big. All right. This has been fun,
to...
but I'm assuming you didn't call in to talk about Australia. Yeah. No, I love these conversations about the world.
I'll leave you with one thing. With one thing about the spiders. In Australia, we don't have as big of an aversion to those sort of spiders. Huntsmen, we're okay with. The other spiders, the problem ones, are usually quite small. So the huntsman one, the big one, they're like when I was growing up, and a lot of families where I grew up as well. If you had a huntsman in your house, say it was in the kitchen or in the living room or something, and it was up in the corner of the ceiling, you would just leave it there because it doesn't hurt you. It's not poisonous in any way. If you get bit, it just hurts. And if you get bit, it means that you got too close to it and you annoyed it. It will hunt down all of the other insects that get into the house. And they're only active at night. You don't see them. During the day, they hide behind something.
Which ones are these again? Which ones?
The huntsman, the big one. The big one.
What is it called? I want to look it up. The huntsman.
Huntsman spider. Huntsman
Spider. Oh my god! Oh no way, man! This one, the one that's famous for that video of it being on the wall that looks like it's like takes up half the wall. No way, man! No way! Give me a tarantula. Give me a daddy long. No way!
A tarantula.
This is a big meaty motherfucker. Look at this shit. Oh my god! No way! No, at least the tarantula is like furry and it's like sort of almost like more mammal-esque than like a bug. This thing's an alien, man. No way.
They do kind of look a bit face huggery, I guess. Yeah.
No way. I'm not doing this shit. No way. Oh my god. Why am I looking at these photos now of all the babies on the walls? Oh my god. No way. I'm never going to Australia now.
You do ideally want to get them out of the house
Oh,
before they have
people
babies.
people are asking me to show them. All right, you guys are ready to be grossed out? Oh my God! Look at this! Look at this! Look at this thing! Look at these things! No way, man! Look at this thing! You gotta be kidding me! No! No way! No way!
Those
way.
pictures do make them look bigger than they.
No
They are
way!
quite big.
What is this? This one eating a possum? What?
And I don't know about eating a possum.
This is from your new ABC News in Australia. This is a real photo. Huntsman home invasions triggered by weather. Look at these spiders, man. Look at them on the wall.
There is a lot of there is a lot of fake like photoshops and stuff out there.
But this
like,
is your news. This is ABC News right here. Look at this thing. No way, dude. Anything but this. I will hold the tarantula over this thing, hands down, no questions about it. Easy peasy. This thing is a monster. Oh my God.
I don't mind him.
Oh, what? Look at that thing.
Well, there's more than one. Maybe it's a problem.
I'd rather hold a raccoon in one hand and a possum in the other than even be in the same room as this thing.
If you do know any other Australians, especially ones who live out in the country, in the city it's a bit of a different story. They're built different in the city. Australians who grew up in the country, usually they've got less of a problem with huntsman spiders.
Are they used to them? Is that why?
Yeah. You have a healthy respect for them.
But they look. It's like having a spider the size of a raccoon. It's unbelievable. It's gross.
I don't know what to tell you. It's just normal for me.
Yeah, someone said. Tokyo Han said that's a crab. Yeah, they look like they're as big as a crab.
Yeah, some of them do get like the size of a smaller crab. Sure, yeah.
Hold on, someone said camel spiders are as big as that too.
Camel spiders are different.
Oh yeah, those
I would
things
be
are
uncomfortable with a camel spider. I think
those things are out in like the desert, right? Those things are
Yeah.
big too. I don't know. I think your spider looks grosser, actually. The camel spider almost looks like a giant ant. I'm not saying I would touch it, but it doesn't look as gross as your
Their
alien.
eyes- I'll leave you with this. The eyes of these spiders in Australia are big enough that while you're sort of like shining a torch, if it's dark and you're shining a torch, their eyes will catch the light and reflect it back to you. So you'll see their eyes in the darkness.
Oh my God.
Sorry for anyone who has to go to sleep with that image, but know that an Australian has told you it's fine.
Someone told me to look up a house centipede. Oh, I know what the house centipedes are gross. We have them here, especially if you live in the outer boroughs and have a basement. They're all over the carpet. Well, not all over, but you'll catch them running around, they're so fast. They have so many legs. They are gross. Apparently, they take care of roaches. But you know what? I don't know if I'd rather. I mean, these guys are probably cleaner than roaches because roaches are nasty as hell. But I think the roaches might look less scary than a house centipede. House centipedes are weird looking.
For the benefit of your viewers, I'm gonna abruptly switch from swarms of insects.
Let's do it. What did you want to call them to talk about? Right?
To swarms of bots. How about we
Let's
talk about
do it.
swarms of bots?
Let's do it.
You were playing earlier in the show that clip of Netanyahu talking to Elon Musk.
Yes.
He's constantly talking about trying to solve this bot problem. He's having a lot of trouble with it. It's something that I suspect keeps him up at night. And the solution that he proposed in that interview, or one of the solutions that he proposed in that interview, was to charge for basic access to Twitter, which is what he believes will combat bots, right? Presumably it's because people have payment methods and bots don't. Now, unfortunately, this is a very, as many people have pointed out, and as you are aware, and as your audience is aware, this is a monumentally stupid way of thinking about how bots work. If there's one thing that people who run these bots and scams online have access to, it's payment methods. Virtual credit cards, prepaid credit cards, stolen PayPal accounts, all of this stuff. There is an entire industry running that has been running for decades around that and trying to perfect that and trying to get around fraud and all this stuff. His solution seems to be that like one payment method per Twitter account, right? Did I understand that right?
Yeah, he thinks that like, I guess his idea is that you would, which is undoubtedly going to lock real people out too, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
Like,
so
the
stupid.
bots
It's
who
so
have-
stupid.
The scammers
And also-
who have access to as many cards as they want can have as many accounts as they want.
Also,
But
I've
got one card, so I can't run a meme account that Elon can steal memes from.
Right.
And my
But
personal
also-
account at the same time.
Also, I want to say nowadays, for the past like year or two, every time I use my credit card, Google or whoever, I forget, I get a pop up every time. I don't remember if it's from Google or PayPal or from the credit card company itself. It's a pop up asking, "Would you like us to create a virtual card so your actual credit card information isn't being sent online?" And they ask me this every time, and every time they ask that, if I clicked yes, I want you to use a virtual card, they would have just created a new virtual card number every single time.
Oh, for every transaction.
Yeah, so I could actually, this wouldn't affect, like, your worry is actually the wrong one. Elon Musk's solution, I just thought of this now thanks to our discussion. Elon Musk is so Mr. Technology genius, doesn't know that mainstream credit card companies now offer virtual cards for every purchase, which means, yeah, one person could literally sit there and charge all their bot accounts to the same credit card, but just choose to whip up a new virtual card number every single time, and Twitter's going to fall for it.
That's fascinating. We don't have that here. For payment, we don't do virtual credit card numbers that the bank assigns. We have one card number.
I mean,
which is interesting.
Like I have the card number, my credit.
You
card,
have an actual card number, yes.
Like,
yes.
I have a card. It has the number, but when I go to do an online transaction, it asks if they would like you to use a virtual card number. Like, it would go through that. Like, the charge would go on my credit card.
Yep.
But the company that's charging it wouldn't see that credit card's permanent number. It would see a temporary virtual card number.
Right, and your bank correlates the two. Yep.
Yes.
We don't have that feature here, which is interesting. Normally we're quite on top of fintech, but yeah, that's
Right.
interesting.
I mean, it definitely is. Like, I've never used it because I don't like I buy from and I know the reasons also for security purposes, but I buy from. I'm not buying from anyone shady. So if if anything was to happen, my credit card information would be out there with the rest of the world's credit card information. It's not like, my private information would leak in any way that, if Amazon got my credit card information out there, I wouldn't be the only person affected. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean?
Well, I wonder how this squares with his plan that X is going to be the everything app and you will pay for things with X. If you need to pay for X to get into access to X, and then you can pay for stuff with X, how does that?
Right. It would be like, yeah, you're right. It would be like, I guess what he's actually trying to do is create the new digital Costco, the new digital warehouse store where you have to buy a membership fee. Do you guys have Costco or BJ's?
We do. I think there's about 3 or 4 Costco's in Australia.
Right.
And yeah,
Sam's Club.
$70 a year or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that idea makes sense because the way that they sell in bulk, and so they, the cheap prices come from the fact that they make some money in memberships. I don't know how that would work for an online business that isn't selling in bulk and thus has no value in this membership fee or whatever. Very weird. But that's what he's trying to do, it seems.
it's fascinating listening to Musk and even people like him because they it's so clear when they get onto certain topics, they just spout just crap, and they give an answer that sounds plausible. They're like human versions of Chat GPT. They give an answer that sounds plausible, but when you think about it for a second, or you look into it, it's like, hang on, this is never going to work.
Right.
Like you pointed out, he's talking about like unregretted user minutes, and he's been
It means
using this
nothing.
metric for ages, right? It
means
sounds
nothing.
very plausible, right? But the thing about regret is it's something that happens after that you do the thing. How do they track that? They can't track that, surely, right? Like, like if I say, like, you know, I buy a 6-pack of donuts and I eat them all, right? At the time, I'm going to be having loads of fun. These donuts are amazing. They're great, right?
Right.
I'm definitely not regretting it at the moment, right? But then maybe like 30 minutes later, an hour later, I'm starting to regret it, right? He's talking about, oh, I'm having so much fun on X. I want people to have fun on X, right? That's not unregretted. Like, yeah,
Right.
this guy's like just spouting bullshit. So he'll come out and say, like, for a while, this is sort of what I think with this charging for Twitter thing. I don't know if you think he's going to do it. I think he may well do it. I don't know. Like, they're probably.
I just for me, when he just throws something out there, there's a number of things that you need to account for to know where he's at. Like, you know, he obviously goes on these late night benders. Like, he obviously is doing drugs. I mean, it's established. It's been written about in his biography and articles. I forgot what drugs he does, but I'm not a big drug person. So even if I had it in front of me, I'd have no idea, you know, what the side effects are, what happens when you do these drugs. I'm not, you know, I don't know. But we know he uses drugs. We know he goes on these benders. We know, depending on all these different factors, time of day, what he's doing, where his mindset's at, how bad his various ailments are at the time, if he's taking medication for them. All these factors roll into which Elon Musk you're getting. Are you getting the Elon Musk that is decisive and is just going to overnight decide to change the entire brand name of the company from Twitter to X? Boom, bada bing, just done. Even though nothing was ready for it, no logo, no web site changes, no server preparation, nothing whatsoever. We're going to get that Elon Musk. We're going to get the Elon Musk that continuously talks about these big ideas like going to Mars and that we're going to do it tomorrow. And he says we're going to do it tomorrow for the next 15 years and it never happens. You don't know with this guy what you're going to get. You just know it's going to be some sort of bullshit. It's going to either be bullshit that never happens or bullshit that happens that he's not prepared to do.
Exactly. Yes. He mentioned in that thing I wish more people would adopt this long-term thinking, right? And it's clear that he himself has not engaged in any genuine long-term thinking, or unless he means, when he says long-term thinking, unless he means forgetting about all of the intermediary steps and just thinking about the end result. Maybe that's the long-term thinking he's talking about. I'll leave you with this point. He also talked about captchas, right? Captchas have been around for a little while. Like, this isn't a new problem that he's trying to solve with bots, and captchas are one sort of method that has been employed by web developers to combat it, right? And the idea is that, like, well, I'll present you with something that's a little bit harder for a computer to do, but a little bit easier for a person to do. You get the bendy, wiggly text, numbers and images sort of overlaid with one another. Play a short little video and you have to type in, what color was the thing, or all this stuff, right? Musk said in that clip that bots are just solving these captchas. He said they're solving them so fast, right? That's not actually true anymore. So captcha developers have been in a perpetual arms race with scammers, employing things like computer vision and neural networks, right? Neither of these groups, the developers of captcha and the scammers, want to be in this war, in this battle that is just this exceedingly more and more and more compute. They don't want to be in this because it becomes too expensive, right? They're going to get this infrastructure, all this stuff, right? So they both kind of pivoted. And that led to the way that sort of modern captures work and the solution that the scammers have for them. So the way modern captures work is this combination of different factors. Previously, it was type in the bendy words, right? Now, you often won't even know that you have passed a captcha because they're invisible. You will only see it presented to you if there's a little bit of a lack of confidence, right? So if sometimes it pops up with a box and it says, just check this box and then we'll let you through. That means that they're pretty confident. You're a low risk agent, but they're not 100% sure.
Right.
So they look at when you check that box, they're looking at how you move the mouse to check the box. They're measuring literally how you move the mouse, right? If you see the box that says, hey, can you click on all the squares that contain traffic lights, right? Well, maybe at that point you're logged into your VPN or you aren't logged into your Google account. Maybe you're on your phone, maybe you're in an incognito tab, that there is not enough information for them to be even consider you a low risk, right? So that presents a problem for scammers because there's all these different factors they need to consider: browser fingerprinting, user behavior, mouse movement, all this stuff, right? So what do the scammers do? Well, instead of implementing more and more complex algorithms and neural networks, they write a very simple piece of software that gives that captcha to someone in Central America, in Africa, for them to solve. And they've created an industry around this.
Right.
So
And you know what? Soon, I just covered this recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Both Microsoft's Edge browser and Google Chrome, in their alpha versions, it's probably not going to go public for a while, but it's on the way. They're working on something where you would solve one CAPTCHA, and it would save that you were able to solve that CAPTCHA in the browser, and then let other websites know that you already solved this CAPTCHA, so you're real, so they don't have to serve you with a CAPTCHA. Because I think in terms of real users, Microsoft and Google are realizing that people are getting sick and tired of filling out these CAPTCHAs. So they're actually going to, of course, I'm sure they're going to come up with ways to make it harder for fake accounts and bots. But they'll always find workarounds because that's what they do. So it's already in the works in terms of, from the big companies, how to stop using CAPTCHAs so often. So Musk's already on the way to losing here when it comes down to it, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, effectively, like what ends up happening with these things, and even that solution, right? Like that does not really help if the issue is like, well, it helps in a sense in that like the token is only valid for that browser, right? But like I said, it's a constant arms race where like scammers will find a way to extract that token or that browser session or that like run that browser in a portable sandbox that can shift like. Right. They'll do all sorts of stuff, right? Like it won't be the end.
They know what they're doing. They're always there's always a way to automate something to make it look like you're human. And
here's the thing. This is the beautiful part.
Yeah.
It is a scam economy in and of itself. These companies that set up to solve captchas for, sort of more nefarious businesses, they claim that they're using advanced AI to solve the captchas when they're actually farming the jobs off to people who are being paid 20 cents an hour.
Right.
And that's I think a great place to leave it.
Absolutely. This was a great call as always, from the bugs to the Santa Claus to the bots.
Sorry to the chat for anyone who's particularly I wouldn't say that I would have shown them on the screen, but here we are.
Have a great rest of your afternoon, right?
Yes, that's it. Yep, you too, mate.
Right.
Enjoy the rest of your show. Cheers.
Will do. Take care. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk with John from Australia. Oh, loud in my ear. I'm hearing the calls loud in my ear. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Aiden from Australia calling again.
Oh my God. Is this the Australian show? What's going on, Aiden? How you doing?
Hey man, this is your fault for calling at like midday for us. It's the only time we can call into any sort of show like this.
You know what? Maybe you guys are opening up a whole new a world for me. I'm viewing an opportunity here. It's time to fully go, because I want to. I would love to stream during the day, but I have a day job, so I can't stream during the day. But maybe if I do an Australian news show at night for me, it would be a daytime talk show for you guys over there. I just gotta up my knowledge on Australian politics and culture. So,
Hey man, you got a lot of callers. You can just do a full-on
yeah,
call-in
just
show.
do call-ins, yeah. I'll open call to Australians. I love it. What's up, Aiden? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I had like this real long laundry list of things. Some people might remember I called in to complain about bad empanada the day after you had a debate with him a few months ago.
Oh yeah. I vaguely remember it, but I guess I
It's not
sort of
too
blocked
important.
that whole time frame out. No, what do you want to talk about though? Go ahead.
Well,
Feel free. Let's see how much time we got. Maybe we can hit a few things depending on how much time we spend on each.
I do not want to talk about bad empanada. I have not thought about him since then. Actually, until this day, I came across a video of his, but totally not related at all. I felt like calling today because of the last caller, I think his name was John, was talking about spiders. And I thought, actually, I have a really quick spider story to tell people that literally happened to me last night. So I'm calling in.
Boy.
right now.
Boy. Are we gonna hold on? Are we gonna have to prepare for mentally prepare for this? Is it gonna be gross?
I don't think it's that bad. But then again, I'm Australian, so who knows? Maybe it's really bad to Americans. But I'm just sitting in my desk space last night. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I got all the lights off. Just got the computer screen in front of me. I'm currently on a uni break, so I'm allowed to be up at this time. Anyway, I see this tiny little spider, like a baby spider, starts crawling across my computer screen, and I think that's pretty unusual. You don't normally see baby spiders just by themselves. And then I realized there was another baby spider just crawling, like hanging off of the bottom part of my laptop.
Oh boy.
I'm like, oh god, that's two. Jeez, what do I do now? So I grabbed my phone and I shone my light above my head,
no.
behind my head, and there was probably about 20, not too many. I mean, I've seen worse, much worse, but maybe about 20 baby spiders that have just sort of crawled through the cracks of my ceiling. And so I've realized that I guess there's a handful of huntsman spiders that have been laying eggs up in my ceiling, and they've hatched.
Oh my god.
So yeah, my whole lounge room area just
Wait,
up
you
in
said,
the
wait. You just assumed it was the huntsman spider? Are these like the normal spiders in Australia? Like they're just everywhere?
Yeah, they're the most common. Yeah, definitely.
The huntsman spiders? That looks like I don't even know. Like oh my god, I have a squirrel got in my house. Like that happens rarely here in the States, but it happens. I thought it was something like that. It's not like that.
No, well, I mean, they come in through like cracks. I live in a sort of like an older unit that has maybe like a couple of problems with the architecture now because of how old it is. So there's some cracks in the walls that some animals, I guess, insects can get through. But yeah, huntsmans are definitely the number one spider that you see. They're definitely not the most dangerous, and still probably the least dangerous, but not all Australians like spiders. My partner absolutely hates them. I just had to kill 2 of them because she saw them just this week. And now we've got these baby ones crawling from the ceiling. So I think we need to try to get into contact with some people to get some stuff done up there too. So yeah, I mean, they don't do anything. And just the other week, I almost walked into a redback, which could have been a big problem. But yeah, no, huntsmans, they're our friends, man. They're friendly.
They are gross. I've never seen a more monstrous looking spider.
Yeah, I think tarantulas are worse, but yeah, I'll leave that part there.
No, to me, tarantulas aren't worse because they look like they can be. They look mammal-ish because they're all furry and they look like they look like. I mean, I don't even know what is a tarantula even a spider? I don't even know. Someone told me before that daddy longlegs aren't spiders; they're actually arachnids.
Well, we've got daddy longlegs here. I think that there's 2 kinds. You've actually got an arachnid, like an actual spider kind, which we have here. And then there's another kind that is it's not a spider, but it's an arachnid of some sort. And it's And I think that's the daddy long legs that you guys in America have. It looks more like a tadpole with really long legs that walks across water.
Yes, that's the
Ours are just
that's
really tiny spiders with hugely long legs, and they stay up in the corners. We don't kill them pretty much ever because they pose even less harm than a huntsman. I'm like literally looking at one right now. They just stay up in the corners and they kill the.
Damn, you Australians and your spiders. You guys are crazy. My pet daddy longlegs is hey Billy, you doing good up there, my friend? Like you name them and stuff like
Well, I mean, if we did, we would have to, we get a little too sentimental when we have to kill them, which eventually happens. But I think the problem with daddy longlegs is once you leave one up there in the corner, they sort of multiply over a month or two, and then you sort of have to deal with them. But last spider thing. You mentioned tarantulas, but I think that a tarantula is a combination of the huntsman spider and the very famous, very deadly funnel web spider from Sydney.
funnel web spider.
Look that one up. That's
Australian funnel web spider. Oh, why do your spiders look like this? Why do they have like shells for bodies? Like they look like they have like crab bodies. They really do. Like I guess that's why I don't find the tarantula to be scarier. These guys look like aliens. Like they're like shiny and
a funnel web.
Very weird.
Like which one is the Alien Predator character from those films that I haven't seen?
Yeah.
Sort of looks like that.
Yeah.
But I'll move on from this real quick. I had a question for you specifically, Matt. It's a wrestling related question. I actually have two questions about wrestling because personally, and I'll drop after the wrestling stuff because I bet other people have more important things to talk about. But so I'm just curious, have you ever heard of or played the text-based wrestling game TEW or Total Extreme Warfare?
Yes, I have. I would be obsessed with it. There was another one too that was like a competitor. I think it was the EWR, Extreme Warfare Revenge or something like that. But yes, I would play those nonstop. The text-based ones where you would build up your roster and set up the matches, and it was all text-based. And you would try to like beat the ratings of the other like computer-run organizations and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's sort of come down to like just like number crunching and sort of randomness and stuff like that after a while. But
are they still running?
Yeah. I bought one. They come out like every 4 years or so, like in 2016 and then 2020. I bought the 2021, got me through the lockdowns pretty well. I haven't played it very much lately because it gets really awfully repetitive, and the longer that you play it, the less sense. Like some random wrestlers die or who knows what happens. But yeah, I'm really glad to hear that you've played it before, and I would say like it's always worth giving it another go if you're interested. But I think it's a really good little bit of program. I can't
remember which one I liked better, Total Extreme Wrestling or Extreme Warfare Revenge. I'm looking at both of them.
I think EWR was simpler, and I don't think it has as much support or mods as TEW does. But if anyone is listening is still like a wrestling fan today, give that stuff a go. It's like GM mode from the SVR games, but like a lot better and more in depth.
All right, I'm gonna maybe go back and download. Well, I guess you gotta. How much is it? Let me check it out. Buy game.
Like $20-$30, something like that.
Yeah, not bad. Oh, PC Windows only. Womp. PC only. I guess back in the day I would play on the PC.
Yeah. And I'll follow. Last question about pro wrestling. Did you find yourself to, before you had kids, maybe fall a little bit out of interest with wrestling? Because personally, I haven't got kids, but I can imagine if and when I have kids, I would try to get them into wrestling, even though I don't watch it today. And maybe that would make me find my interest in wrestling again. What do you reckon?
Well, that happened with me in soccer with my son, where he got me back into soccer. And now I'm like playing in a league, like an adult league. I've been going to the games with the MLS games with him. But when it comes to wrestling, that definitely happened to me before my kids were born. My dad first showed me wrestling like when I was really young, like 3 or 4 years old, and we would like casually watch it. And then I don't know why. Maybe my mom wasn't happy with it or something. But, you know, a couple of years on, got out of it. Then, just as the NWO angle was starting, and just as the Attitude Era was starting, just as ECW was becoming ECW, I got back into it. It's around like 96. And I was really into it from like 96 to like 2001, I want to say. And then after the botched invasion angle and the beginnings of the McMahon Helmsley era, I just couldn't take it anymore. I needed to take a break. It was the worst period, in my opinion, for wrestling. Yeah. And then I got back into it when ECW came back with One Night Stand, the 2005 one, like the one where they actually let ECW be ECW. So I got back into it in 2005. I mean, even when I wasn't in it in like between like 2001 and 2004 so much, I still was paying attention to what was going on.
Yeah, that happened to me as well. Because I'm a bit younger than you, Matt. No offense or anything, but I got into wrestling about 2004, I reckon. The first thing that I always had like cousins and family members who talked about wrestling.
How old were you in 2004, if you don't mind me asking?
I would have been about 9.5 when I first came across it. But the only reason why I came across it was because we'd moved in with my parents, with my mother's partner, and he had Foxtel here in Australia. It costs a lot of money to get this cable service, which is the only way we could watch wrestling. I'm not sure about you guys, but I watched it for maybe 5 or 6 years. I got really, really into it as a kid, and then I lost access to Foxtel, so I couldn't watch it from about 2009 to 2013. But then The Rock came back in 2012, which got me interested again because I didn't see The Rock in Attitude Era, so I was super, super excited because I had family members who did, and they always talked about how cool he was. But then when like Punk left, I just sort of fell out of it again. It just sort of, I think wrestling now, like AEW, maybe like not very interesting to me because it seems like they don't really have like much of a long-term plan. It feels like, but then in WWE, it feels like I'm watching like a Marvel film, So not really my thing anymore.
I'm still into it. I went to that One Night Stand. I went to a lot of ECW, early ECW, back when they were doing the Elks Lodge before we bought them. I was, I got back into it for that One Night Stand in 2005. Stayed really into it, really until the, maybe there was some like on and off months, but I stayed really into it. I want to say until like 2020. The pandemic era wrestling was really bad. It really needed wrestling needs a crowd. The crowd is just as much part of a show in a wrestling event than as everyone in the ring, honestly. So the wrestling without a crowd was rough. And I still pay attention to it. I still watch it. I still attend events every now and then. I take my son to indie shows. My son really liked The Fiend. He was big into The Fiend. I guess that extra, like that super, supernatural character like the Undertaker when we were younger. But for like Undertaker was already done when he was watching. So The Fiend was that to him. And like when Bray Wyatt just died, like that was I think that's the first fictional, not fiction because Bray Wyatt's an actual human being. First actor or like a person that my son didn't know in real life that he was actually like shocked to find out died.
Same situation because I don't know how young your son is, but I was like 10 or 11 years old when Eddie died. And when I first got into wrestling, but the first thing that I ever remember seeing was JBL getting Eddie arrested. That was the first thing that I ever saw, and I thought I hated JBL more than anything, and I loved Eddie more than anything as soon as I turned that TV on. So I've been thinking about that actually, because obviously Bray dying at 36 is even younger than Eddie, and Eddie was like a huge deal.
I think Eddie was younger.
Was he?
Yeah.
I thought he died at 7 or 8.
People don't realize he was Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. He was 38. But
Yeah,
I think a lot of
it's
people
very,
thought.
very
I
close.
think a lot of people thought he was older though. I think people thought he was like in his 40s. Like it's still
Yeah.
young, obviously, but he was around for so long. I don't think people realized how young he was when they were watching him.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
mean, because
I
when
got
he was in WWE in his mid to late 30s, he already had a whole career in Mexico and Japan and in WCW. Like people
yeah,
were already watching him for like people were watching him for like 20 years already. People didn't realize they were watching an 18-year-old person fly around the ring, and he was that good. You know,
he always looked older than he was, hey, because he had like that hairstyle and the mustache a lot of the time.
the mullet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'll end it here. But I just wanted to say that when Bray Wyatt came up on the scene, like after Husky Harris, when he first kind of came into the Bray Wyatt character, I thought because this was around about the period where NXT was actually like proper developmental, and I've got into NXT really, really big time, especially with all the women coming out at that period. I thought it was really like the next step in wrestling, and it ended up being that way. But Bray Wyatt always stuck out to me as someone who I always thought was a little bit overrated. But you, over time, the way that he developed the character to go past one thing and then past the second thing and past the third thing and always recreating himself, I think there's like something to be said about in wrestling. Only certain people get that right, like that opportunity to actually be that creative. But that's not necessarily like a bad thing to say about the guy. And I think that
You know what? I thought the opposite actually. I thought like he was a genius at first. And I was a big fan of the Bray Wyatt as the swamp cult leader from like Louisiana or whatever. I loved that. I thought like, wow, I can't believe like this. That's like a very niche like genre in horror. So for like someone to translate that to like a wrestling character, I thought was genius. I always thought they dropped the ball by not making his cult even bigger. Like really like not maybe NWO size, but making it like to the point where like the WWE was worrying about so many people becoming part of this cult. You know what I mean? Like they could have really taken it far.
it would have been big today. Like if the
Yeah.
moved
And then
that.
when he moved on to like the new face of fear type character, where he was like just like a sort of like a gothy like he dressed with like the dread, like the industrial dreads and stuff like that. It was okay. It was all right. I liked his tag team with Matt Hardy. I thought that worked. I thought the Fiend was sometimes cool, sometimes taking it too far, even like further than like the Undertaker in terms of like how much they wanted us to like suspend belief or whatever. But then I was interested when he came back doing this Uncle Howdy thing. The last gimmick that we'll never really see completely. Oh, I really enjoyed the Firefly Funhouse thing. I thought that was, as a Pee Wee Herman fan, I thought that was genius. And then how he weaved the Fiend into that, I thought was great. And then how he weaved those characters into when he came back to do this latest thing with the Uncle Howdy thing was interesting. But unfortunately, this last gimmick he had, he was just, I don't know if it was him or the WWE, they were stretching out the payoff way too long to the point where I think they were losing people. And unfortunately, I think like that's the last thing people saw of him. They didn't get to see his idea pan out because that's it. They're not going to go back to that. That's it. They're not going to close. There's going to be no closure there. That's it.
Yeah, I hope they. On one hand, I kind of like hope they tell us what the plans were, but then on the other hand, I kind of think like it would be respectful to Bray to not release that information, I guess. But I'll end it on this, and I'll say that I reckon that I mean, did you know about Dan Spivey back in like the 80s? That dude tried to do the whole Jack Nicholson gimmick in the first place.
Yeah, in fact, there's a shoot interview on YouTube with Dan Spivey talking about how Bray had come up to him in the early days of NXT, telling him this idea he had, and how he had been watching his work and got inspiration from it. And Dan Spivey had nothing but good things to say about Bray, and I think even at one point said like he's the only current wrestler he would watch, and that he respected that. Like he came up to him and asked him like if it was cool that he was doing this and all that. A lot of those old timers are very serious about like, if you're gonna use something that I came up with, You need to come up with and ask for my permission. I'm gonna say yes, but you need to ask for my permission.
Yeah. Well,
Did you see? Did you see that? Did you hear about that thing with Sergeant Slaughter and Lacey Evans before they released Lacey Evans?
Wait, I didn't know they released Lacey Evans.
All right, they released Lacey Evans, but when she came back after she had her baby in real life, like after she was really pregnant, she had to leave, and she came back. They dropped the whole like her being like a 50s like woman or like a woman from the 50s or whatever, and they were playing up her legitimate military background, like she used to be in the army, and they had her doing like a sergeant gimmick. And Sergeant Slaughter was upset that she didn't come to him for permission because she was using the Cobra clutch and she was dressing with like the Sergeant Slaughter hat or whatever. But like, listen, I get if maybe anybody else was doing it, but you're going to ask an actual, like Sergeant Slaughter wasn't even in the military and he was wearing that stuff. You're going to ask an actual former military person for permission to play a military character from a person who wasn't actually in the military?
And let's not forget, I mean, Sergeant Slaughter very happily sold out to Iran, so.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Anyway, look, I just wanted to end it by saying like much respect and everything to Bray Wyatt, and I always thought he was a little bit overrated when I was actually watching. But one of the things that kept my tab, like one of the things I kept tabs on was Bray Wyatt, and I felt like obviously I wasn't a fan of the guy, but it does seem like an extremely monumental loss for wrestling overall. And so I just wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to say that because I feel like I don't watch wrestling, but I see a lot of wrestling stuff. I keep tabs on it. I see like how famous LA Knight is at the moment, good for him and all that kind of stuff. And how AEW is sort of like in a rocky situation. And I always
AEW is doing a show right now about a 15-minute walk from where I live.
It reminds me of like when I was watching wrestling and getting into wrestling in the early 2010s, how much people would fight about like how TNA is the next big thing. And obviously that never really happened, but this constant back and forth between like marks for WWE and marks for any other show is just it's literally never ending. And I just wish that kids would stop doing it. Please. Wait,
Matt, doing what? I'm sorry, I missed that. Doing what?
Hey?
That last thing there, would you say you wish kids stop doing what?
I wish kids, when they get involved in wrestling, they stop doing the partisan stuff, like this company's better than that company.
Oh yeah, that's always gonna happen though. But yeah, I agree.
Frustrating, and yeah. Anyway, I said, don't let your kids turn out like that if they maintain their wrestling fandom when they get a bit older. But anyway, man. Last thing, fuck Jesse Singal, and thank you for picking up.
Always a pleasure. No, feel free to call in anytime. All right, folks. What great calls. Let's take. It's all right. Jeez. It's all right. Wow. Didn't realize what time it was. We're already doing 2 hours. Then I gotta do. Let's go to pick up. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt. It's Josh from California. How you doing today?
Hey, Josh. I'm doing good. How are you?
I guess tonight. I'm well, thanks. So I guess we're doing spider stories tonight. Nothing like, yeah. Nothing like waking up in the desert with a camel spider in your tent.
Are you this happened to you, I'm assuming?
Yeah, they would just come in. They like the heat, so they would come in. It was basically impossible to keep them
And where
out.
was this?
Northern Iraq.
Oh, you were in vacationing?
Yes, it was a nice vacation. Actually, the Kurds are great. They never shot at us. It was not a problem. So it was actually pretty nice being there compared to a lot of the other guys that went over. Not that we should have been there, but that's a whole other discussion. So they're like, they can get almost as big as like the size of your shin. So they're great. They're not at all aggressive or whatever. Like same thing like the huntsman spider. They're looking for heat and water and other bugs to eat. But if you want to show them on Google, they're absolutely disgusting. But
I'm gonna pass on showing people the spiders
But
for now.
the thing I actually wanted to talk about is, did you see that our illustrious former president was dead for
Oh yeah, Donald Trump Jr.'s account was hacked earlier. A Twitter account was hacked earlier today,
yeah,
right?
that shit was hilarious. The reaction was wonderful. Like people just rending their clothes about it for the 3 minutes it took to figure out that it was fake or whatever. But that was really entertaining to me. Was it actually hacked or did he just like do a lot of coke and
I mean, we won't. I don't think we know. I'm gonna assume it's hacked. I don't think he would. I mean, I don't know the guy, but it seems like that's saying your dad died. Seems like it was hacked.
but maybe he's trying to usurp his dad's position so that he can run in 2024.
Maybe, maybe.
Uh, that would be really funny. But the other thing is, yeah, the virtual credit card thing. I guess John had never heard of it, but that was a big. We used that a lot. I used to work for like a company that would work with insurance companies placing disaster victims in temporary housing, like after a town burns down and they need to all be put in hotels or temporary housing while their houses are being rebuilt. You just use a virtual credit card, like a virtual card number you have a single actual card number, and that you would generate like 100 different card numbers at a time to purchase different hotel stays and stuff like that. It was not at all a problem. So I don't know what this guy thinks he's doing, but that would not in any way solve anything.
Right. Right. No. Yeah. It didn't even occur to me until we were having that conversation earlier. But that's 100%. The the fact of the matter is, whatever he thinks he's going to do to stop the bots, there is a workaround that's literally built into every sort of payment system right now that allows you to do a virtual card using your main credit card. It's insane that he doesn't know that.
Well, and also, even if it weren't, like, you think the US or China or Russia or any of the large countries that maintain botnets really give a fuck about $800,000 a month to push a political narrative? Like, if it destabilizes a opposing country, you think they're not going to just spend that money? I mean, it's a good way for him to generate revenue, but as far as stopping bots, that's not going to do anything to affect the botnet
Yeah.
that countries maintain. I mean, we spend what, I don't know, how many billions a year on toilet paper for the military? You think they give a crap? You think a botnet's not like a worthwhile investment?
Right.
I don't know if it's just a lack of imagination on like his part, which wouldn't surprise me because he doesn't seem like he has. All of his dreams are basically just recycled sci-fi, like 50s sci-fi ideas, basically. Like, we're gonna go to Mars, or I'm gonna build a car that drives itself, or I'm going to build a vacuum tube that moves things from one place to another. It's basically just pneumatic tubes from like building messaging systems from the 50s. None of this is new.
Right.
None of it's
Right.
innovative or anything else. So, it's really, and then what was he talking about with, the the long-term threat of AI with Neuralink or whatever, how it would help mitigate. I can't remember the statement, but he was talking about chips and how the Stephen Hawking, but he was responding to himself, talking about how it could help mitigate the long-term threat of AI. It's insane. How would that work? Would a human being plug into the AI and say, "It's cool, buddy, calm down"? Like, I don't understand what's going on in his head.
I can't. I don't even know what he's talking about when it comes to some of the stuff he's talking about. Honestly.
Dog on the Roof did say he came up with new ways to torture monkeys to death, so that is innovative, I guess.
Oh my God. It is. I don't even know what to say. Don't even know what to say. It's I was reading that Wired thing and I was like, oh my God, like it's just, and to even just deny it, like instead of being like knowing this stuff's out there, like things went wrong. Just very simple. You know what I mean? Like, geez.
Yeah, and Facebook was working on something. It wasn't an implanted chip, but they were working on something similar years ago, when I was contracting for them. It was what, 2017? But it was more about like beaming thoughts at people, and they had sort of presented on that. They have a Building 8 as like their venture capital. Like Google used to have Google X. It was like their, speculative projects division, essentially, where they tried to create ridiculous things. But that stopped pretty quickly. So basically, the intent was to allow people who can't communicate verbally to be able to use sort of some sort of rig to communicate thoughts to other people, who could just receive it by having it beamed at them. But they sort of tried to figure out a way to remove the receiver part of it, which immediately raised a bunch of red flags, because some poor woman would be walking around and just have a bunch of gross thoughts beamed at her, because we're all disgusting. And so that stopped pretty quickly. So I don't understand. I mean, this is like, I don't understand the desire to turn people into robots.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah. First of all, like the whole AI thing is so frustrating because, I think John from Australia was mentioning it earlier. It's just not happening. Like, it's not even close to what we're talking about when we talk about AI. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, AI is, again, you've had this discussion with a bunch of people, but like AI isn't what we're calling AI isn't AI anyways. It's just, advanced. It's more advanced algorithms or whatever. It doesn't learn and create. It just reproduces from what's already stored. It's not like actual creationism or creating. But it's very confusing. I just don't get any of this. I will let I will let you go.
No, I was
Spock,
about to. No, it's a conversation that I think we're gonna be having more of, and definitely call back to have that conversation. I think there's a lot more to talk about this.
absolutely.
That's I don't think I'm doing it justice by putting you on to talk about this at the 2.5 hour mark after midnight for me, where I'm about to wrap up. So I didn't want to dive too deep into it because I can't get into it right now in full. But I think it's definitely something we're going to talk about more.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean, we're starting to use that kind of stuff at work a lot. I build build analytics for executives at various tech companies, essentially, and so we're starting to use that to save work. But it's all it's all copies of shit that's already been done.
Yeah, listen, like I said, like listen, to me AI, what we're calling AI is not NFTs and crypto. There are use cases. There is an industry here that certainly will find its place within the broader tech space.
Yeah, you just have to set
It's not,
expectations for what it actually is, not what
yes,
you want it to be.
and a lot of it is hype, which is going to, I think, be detrimental for it in the end, in the long run. In the
Yeah.
same way that I mean, again, it's not the same thing as crypto and NFTs, but when you have that same marketing bullshit that surrounded an outright scammy industry, and you inject it into a new industry that that can be of use in certain realistic scenarios,
Hmm.
it's not going to end good. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, and there's also, as you know, like we skipped the whole privacy conversation, we're also skipping the whole ownership of data conversation where all of this GPT stuff is involved. Because, like, one of the tools I use is working with who's is it OpenAI that is behind ChatGPT?
Yes, that's OpenAI. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so they're working with them, but supposedly all data that you pass out to this company's model doesn't actually go to OpenAI. So there would have to be some sort of sharded instance that they then own, which first off, like the amount of energy that would then have to use is staggering, and it's you want to talk about accelerating climate change. We're gonna kill ourselves in 2 years with all this bullshit rather than the 30 we have left. But that's again a whole other discussion for when it's not past midnight for you. Um, but yeah, it's but I don't believe that they're actually going to do that. And so that means then that, private industrial data is getting passed out to uh, a third party, and you may not have consented to you may have consented to giving Apple your data, but you may not have consented to that have then being passed out to OpenAI to be processed, to be passed back in to another company to show, so there's just like a privacy discussion, but also like a ownership of data and all of that kind of stuff discussion that's absolutely not being brought up in Congress or really even in tech journalism when surrounded by all of this hype, like you said. So there are, useful, meaningful use cases, but also there's a whole bunch of concerns that should be brought up around those use cases that really don't seem to be discussed very much because they suck and they're not fun or sexy, and they don't make anybody any money. So yeah, but also I will let you go because you look tired, and also Spocko kind of wanted to call in to talk about Ammon Bundy getting his ass kicked.
Oh, that's not happening. The show is coming to an end.
Okay, well, I will let you go, and you have a great night.
You too. Take care. Always a pleasure, Josh.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, last call because it's right here. This is literally the last call. Oh, look who it is. How are you doing? We gotta be quick though, because I'm about to. It is very awkward to see my face staring back at me. Let me pull myself up on the. Hold on, let me show people what I'm looking at here. Hold on. Oh, it's slightly cut off because of the. So it's fine. It's fine. In the feed, it's cut off because we're split screen. But when I saw you full screen in the Skype, and I could see my face staring back at me in your background, it was very distracting.
Yeah, for some reason they don't let me do the because it's flipped, so I save the image as normal, but when I put it on here, they always flip it for some odd reason on Skype, and so your image should be on this side, on the opposite side of where I am, so I could have blocked it easier. You know what I mean? Now I got your clone poking out in front of me. You're on the Doom set, I'm on the D Mood set.
So what
So
do you want to talk about, Hansi?
no, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're gonna cover it on. By the way, I liked your show. I watched Leftist. I sometimes it's hard on Thursdays to watch live Leftist Mafia. I normally watch it live for a bit and then I pause it and then I catch up, whatever. You know what I mean with some of the stuff. But I thought I was actually hoping you would. I was actually hoping you would go to callers on Leftist Mafia because I would. I got a huge
Oh,
crush
I
on.
didn't think of that because usually, but I was thinking about doing it. Right, I said like we could drop the guest link there, but yeah, I'm gonna figure out the calls for Leftist Mafia.
Just put in a good word for Ravana with me. I'm joking. I know. I think Ravana's cool as hell, man. I mean, she's like I've interacted with her a couple of times on Twitter. She seems like a cool person. So I'm glad
She's
that
very
she.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So no. I'm sure you're going to talk about it on Leftist Mafia. I'm sure, but I want to talk about the Russell Brand stuff. You know what I mean? It's no, it's like here's the thing, because again, this is coming from the conspiratorial element, and by the way, before I begin, this is not like oh the deep state's trying to get rid of Russell Brand or anything like that. Okay, I don't want you to think that, but the thing that I hate about like at least commentators, at least like not all of them, people who or whatever on some level, like like of course yeah it's been investigated and all that kind of stuff so like obviously it's been there but I do think that when they want to like make it a topic for the entertainment dollar because the thing is the last 10-15 years we've been seeing more abuses and all these stuff going on in show business right and if this were one group, like if this were like a bunch of Muslims, like in the religion, and this was going on, you certainly don't think that people wouldn't go, well, what's going on in the Muslim religion that's like going nuts about like abuse and all that kind of stuff. There's something definitely going on in show business, but I do think, and this is where like they've been building. Because again, I'm talking as someone that's been diving into the conspiratorial elements since the 2010s. So even if your listeners or you yourself might not see what I'm saying, that's fine. I understand that. But this is not a defense of Russell Brand because now I try to figure it. Because again, in the 2010s, like I would look at coordinated attacks and then go, "Oh, this guy is speaking. This guy is like talking against the higher powers. So there must be like the timing of this must be coincidental." And because like everyone blindly just just goes off on like, the misses of conspiracy, it makes people who are apolitical who can see what's going on and seeing the overall the overarching themes that like horror stories from
Can I
different
tell
elements. Go
I
ahead.
see what you're saying, and I understand totally how just Hansi, you come on the show and you always say how you represent like the average Joe, right? Like the regular
Well,
everyday.
the people that are
And so I
yeah,
totally see how people would see it this way. But there's actually no conspiracy here in terms of like there's a problem unique to Hollywood or the entertainment industry. What we're
go ahead, go
seeing,
ahead.
what you're seeing here is it's an industry where the perpetrators are famous, so it gets covered.
No,
What
I know that.
I can guarantee you that these are cases of sexual assault, sexual abuse, it just even inappropriate sexual innuendo or behavior in workplaces are happening in every industry to women everywhere, whether
No,
they're
no,
working in the service industry, whether they're working in hospitality, construction, whatever it may be. This stuff's happening. It just so happens that the entertainment industry obviously gets covered because the people who are doing the abuse are famous.
well, hold on. Okay. No, I agree with you 100%. I'm not saying that like this doesn't go on in all workplaces. Again, I'm not like denying the like oh it's only the entertainment, but when it's presented a certain way in the entertainment business, when people and again this is people and I'm not blaming because again whenever victims come out and then people go well, why didn't they come out earlier? Guess what? What they're called fundamentalists who in my perspective who run show business, they they have law enforcement and like different media people under their watch. It's like it's been documented that Black Cube
Oh
guys.
no, absolutely no, absolutely. There's Scientology. Look how they defended Danny Masterson and a bunch. They're always there to make sure that they're um, uh, monitoring and trying to control the situation for their members. Without a doubt,
Yeah,
there's certainly unique aspects to this when it happens in Hollywood, but the actual acts and the treatment of the victims or people being victimized, period, is not unique to Hollywood.
so yeah, so whenever like it comes out like in a coordinated way, it's designed to make the conspiratorial person then go, oh, out of nowhere. So because the timing of like him questioning like the Democrats and corporate media, my personal opinion, there's people in Hollywood. This is my personal opinion. They know when they're going to get canceled, and now we're seeing a whole new movement of people who are going, "Oh, look, I'm being canceled for telling the truth, and they're making stuff up
Oh,
about
right,
me,"
right.
because so my conspiracy is that they're using this because Russell Brand probably knows. Like, as bad as what he did, the sad reality is a lot of these entertainers and politicians, they're not going to do any fucking time. We're just going to boo and hiss at them, and they're going to
Oh,
further go into a fundamentalist direction. And this is all propped up for that because in the 2010s, because the thing is, there are elements of people who have gang stalked and harassed and done horrible things. Like again, people again, I could have easily gone like when I was on Periscope. They were willing to hype like the right wing base that thought that I'd attack Howard from the right wing angle. Like I had like if I had gone Howard's a PC cuck and a PC guy instead of talking about his normalized like racism of like no he knows more about stop and frisk, but he'll justify it by going like even though he knows brown and black people are going to be affected, he will hide that from his audience and going, well, I think everyone should get stop and frisked. I think everyone's up to no good, but that's not the question. You know what I mean? People focus on Howard Stern doing blackface and doing all that kind of stuff, which is bad, obviously, but there's a lot of normalized stuff, whatever. So I'm noticing that like a lot of the like, so like people are willing to like if you've been wronged by people in the industry, if you're willing to like go more into the right wing direction, especially in this era, people will not only prop up your traumatized story, but like then you can also then aim it to go more right wing. And that's what I'm talking about. How like now this conspiratorial stuff has become like a huge marketing tool. And the fucked up thing is there might be, because and not because oh Russell Brand or any of these people are like telling the truth and all that, because I believe they're insiders. They'll probably have one or two conspiracies that they have said that might end up coming true, right? And the reason why I'm saying that, because then the people who are following these people are going to go, see, they had these two truths that were really, really, because whenever a conspiracy comes true in any way, everyone always goes, see, Alex Jones was right. And it's like, dude, like yeah, in the beginning, Alex Jones a mixed message, and again, there's a lot of people who are left leaning that let Alex Jones in that sphere. You know what I mean? Before he became like totally dirty and all that kind of shit. And the thing is like he would be one of these guys that would have like little bits of truth about what the system fucking does and all that. Then at the same time he would be a hypocrite because he'd be doing the exact same thing. And that's when like I like started questioning him, and then like his fan base gets mad at you if you question all that type of stuff. So what I'm saying is that like there is validity to conspiratorial stuff that does go on, and again I'm going not even with this Russell Brand story. I'm going off about horror stories that I've heard within the music industry, and like what I mean, like people being assaulted, like people being turned out, and all that kind of stuff. That's why what to call some of these people who get abused within these industries, especially I'm just saying entertainment. Do you notice how some of these people who have like dealt with like the worst shit or something like that, all of a sudden they become born again, and then it feels like those conservative, because again Hollywood to me is not a liberal place. I think it's more conservative than people want to admit. I think what
Oh,
happens, in my personal opinion,
yeah.
if people get abused and then they become born again, like a Shawn Michaels or a fucking Ultimate Warrior, then like you know what I mean, because they've dealt with creepy people in the industry. They go into the real world generalizing, and then you hear Ultimate Warrior losing his mind, going, "Oh, being gay is the wrong thing in the world," and then someone who's randomly gay is like, "What the fuck did I do? Like, I'm just a regular fucking person, just living my fucking life," and it feels like I don't know if this is a Mortal Technique, but he broke it down like about how like in an interview about how like entertain like rappers at least or like you know people in minority communities have been like assaulted by police officers where like it affects them and then they go off on like generalized homophobia a little bit because of what they've been through and the things you can't really talk about it because people want to pretend like show business is this clean little fucking thing and that's why I know it happens in every other industry but I'm just saying, like, you're gonna see more of these stories. And the thing is like when these stories come out, it becomes like, oh, it's only convenient to now come out to now give the victims vindication when they need to make documentaries and all that kind of stuff. Like that's one of the things like I detest because if I ever get vindicated for everything that I say that I've been through again, it's the people put me through, what's it called? It's only going to be useful when they can make a documentary out of it. And to me, what's it called? That's it's just as bad because because people could report on this as soon as it happens, but these people do not operate on the same level as regular people do. The rule. I guarantee you, nothing's going to happen to Russell Brand. I don't care what they're marketing. Oh, YouTube got rid of him. I don't give a shit. He's gonna be protected. Everyone's protecting him. People who pretend to care about Tara Reid. Okay, fine. I said, hey, if Tara Reid's actually been raped, then yeah, that's fucking horrible. And I could think it's possible because politicians are fucking dirty ass fucking people. But guess what? I'm also not gonna co-sign her right wing turn, whatever. But the same people that are going, oh, Tara Reid got raped, whatever defending Russell Brand when their evidence is right there. So to me, it's like you guys are all fucking phony too. Like all of you in the alt media space, not you in particular.
No,
Like people
yeah,
who
they're
are like,
talking about.
I'm gonna be the anti-woke guy. The gimmick's old, and a lot of these guys are going more to the far right wing direction. That's basically what I wanted to explain. I'm sorry for going on
No,
tangent.
I actually think you're making some great points here. Yeah, I mean, there are people who think that Russell Brand knew this was coming and had set up this turn of his in order to facilitate a new fan base that was known for defending this type of behavior. I can't say so or not. The thing I don't like about that particular thought process is that it makes it sound like he didn't have a right wing turn, and this is all just and I don't believe that. I think the guy is actually a right winger. I don't think this is like, I mean, I think this is who he is legitimately. It just so happens, I think, that it worked out in his favor. But the other, the knowing how the right treats people who are accused of these things, it's not a totally out there, train of thought. I think you're right that he has a lot of people defend.
Say that.
No, he's. It's weird because like there just was an example where something did actually come out of it, and that's rare. Like I'm actually surprised that the Danny Masterson verdict wasn't more of a surprise to people. Like I wasn't following the case, and I got to read more about it, but I wonder like what he did. He's gonna spend the rest of his life in jail, I think, right? it like the evidence for that, it's very hard to convict on this type of stuff. The evidence that they showed to that jury must have been brutal for him, that there was no escaping this. Like, how rarely do we see people, especially famous people, like you were mentioning, face any sort of consequence for any actions, let alone one of the, if not the worst possible thing you can do to somebody. With Scientology behind him too, like defending him. And other famous people coming out of the woodwork, writing letters to defend him. So
More-
like,
More heel turns.
right. So will something happen to Russell Brand?
I don't think it
don't
will.
know. It depends, I guess, what's out there. I do think the UK is taking this a little bit more seriously than I thought they would have. I don't know. I mean, the difference here again with this guy is he's been talking about doing this type of stuff publicly on, like, as part of his act for years. And I think people who weren't in the know assumed that he was just being an asshole and thinking it was funny to joke about it. But, like, there are people pulling up clips of, like, other comedians in that who came up in the same, like, UK scene that he did, who apparently knew his character, and this was, like, an open secret in that world. I mean, as someone who is familiar, like, I was never a big fan. I've seen maybe a few movies he was in. But as someone who's familiar with the type of things he would say and how he would act, it's certainly not surprising that he would treat women badly in general. Not even going even further to say sexual assault or rape. But, like, he didn't seem like a guy who respected women. And then, this is like, the tabloids and the gossip, but, like, apparently his relationship with Katy Perry was not good, and it was on him, obviously, what was coming out. I don't remember what it was, but I remember hearing about it at the time. It's not surprising that this happened or allegedly happened. I mean, it seems pretty clear. You have at least four women who did not know each other come out with separate but similar stories. Some of them producing text messages from him where he acknowledges the behavior. You got Ben Shapiro out there defending him because 16 years old is legal in the UK. First of all, two things here. Number one, the people always going on about grooming and groomers are fine with a 30-something-year-old man having relations with a 16-year-old girl, as long as it's legal in whatever country. Oh, okay. So there's countries where it's illegal at, like, what, 12, I'm sure, or maybe even younger. Is that okay because it's legal? These are the guys calling everyone else groomers, right? But second of all, let's just say you are fine with a 16-year-old with a 30-year-old because it's legal in the UK. It's legal in the UK if it's consensual, and the whole point of these allegations are that the woman who was 16 years old at the time is saying what Russell Brand did to her at 16 was not consensual. It was sexual assault. So him going on and on about how it's legal at 16, last I checked, it's not legal in the UK to rape somebody, 16 or not.
No, I know you're like, you're on the tail end of the show, and I called in at the wrong time and all that kind of stuff, and I appreciate you taking my call. Like the reason why I always bring the showbiz element, I guess because, like, that's my only experience with, like, kind of like not like seeing, because again, I was always in my house, whatever, right? But just like how creepy like and how creepy people are and how the rebrands work. And the thing is, like, I always kind of get because again because dude, I used to like okay, comedians wouldn't flat out say you have to do this, but like entertainers who tell you like, oh, like if you want to make it to the next level, you gotta like for example, when I started consuming comedy, Howard Stern would have Lisa Lampanelli basically say, if you want to be a comedian, you got to cross the line racially, all that type of stuff. Say all the shock jock edgelord stuff. So I used to go, okay, well, I guess like again, like if you look at old videos of me, I used to say shock jocking stuff, right? But you could always tell that like I never really believed in it because again, I would make 'cause I just thought that like okay, people don't like PC type of humor, so I have to go to like making like inappropriate like jokes and all that kind of stuff. Like I thought like that was like the way you get like the comedian like the edge lord comedians like respect and all that kind of stuff. And then when I started noticing patterns of like people who incorporated fucked up things in their act like Bill Cosby, and then they're guilty of it, then I question like, okay, are any of these other people that I'm watching that I think is funny, are they going to now be exposed as well? Because it seems like a overarching theme where these people like they use their entertainment like to basically use it as like, oh, I'm hiding it behind closed sight essentially. You know what I mean? Hiding it in plain sight essentially. So like they're admitting it, but then you go, well, hey, we'll have a debate. Okay, they're just joking. It's not like serious. And then down the line, like 5 years, I should be called discourse predictor because I can tell where everyone's storyline arc is going essentially. Like I can tell when they use celebrity gender war, like with Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion or Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Like even though these cases like are like to me arranged marriage type of deal, they the reason why I say they're important is because people who don't think they're taking in politics, because like these like for example the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp one, that was like the more obvious one where a bunch of right wing grifters were automatically like Team Johnny Depp, whatever. So it becomes one of those things. Like here's another example right now what they're doing to downplay any claims of racism. They're using lying in a stand up. Okay, and I get you want to criticize him lying. Okay, I get it, whatever. But now I'm noticing more people like people who are fake left, like TYT for example, like giving lectures like how dare you lie about racism going on. So like now you're seeing more and more people who are like right wing now, basically now going, now we shouldn't believe any minorities who are going through racism because now playing the victim is a very profitable scheme basically. So even though and that's what I was worried about with the Jussie Smollett thing because I called it out like
Oh,
I think
without a doubt, his thing was a negative, obviously, no doubt about it. And he should be ashamed for what he did. I mean, it just shit like that shouldn't obviously have anything to do with other people's experiences, but
no.
it does.
I know that, but what they do is that that's what I'm saying. This is why I know it's supposed to be entertainment. But now with the social media era, like since the writer strike, I'm noticing a whole bunch of storylines in the social media era where I think show business is now moving to social media. Like people go, "Oh, look, Russell Brand is not part of the establishment because he's on Rumble." Guess what? The establishment is also part of Rumble as well. On YouTube or you're on fucking Rumble doesn't mean that you're not part of the fucking.
These are venture funded companies. Like these are some of the biggest. If they themselves aren't part of a major conglomerate like Google or Meta or Microsoft, then they are funded by people like Peter Thiel or the All In guys, the Elon Musk buddy podcast. These are all some of the most richest, powerful people on the planet. The idea that you are anti-establishment by having a direct tie, by being paid, like just using YouTube is not like, getting paid as part of like a revenue share or whatever is not, make you part of the establishment, but directly getting contracted by Rumble per se to do a specific show that they are paying you per episode for. Like certain people, like Russell Brand, Glenn Greenwald.
Academics.
Rumble's got venture funding. Rumble's a Peter Thiel funded. Like some of the most powerful people on the planet. You don't think they're having and there's no abundance of voices who are getting similar deals. It's very clear that you are being used to specifically send certain messages by very powerful people, spread certain messages by very powerful people. You are not anti-establishment if you have a sweetheart private deal with any of these companies. If you just want to post your shit on Rumble and you take part in like a revenue share, like that's just like a open to the public program, that's fine. That's not you're not part of the establishment by doing that. Sitting down and signing a specific contract with your name on it to these companies so you could produce something specifically for them. Yeah, you're not fooling anybody. You're probably fooling a lot of people, but you're not fooling me.
Because dude, again, I'll be quick, whatever. Thing is that we keep thinking because we rebooted society into thinking that we're going through the 90s and early 2000s. People still love to think that the internet is an underground chat room. And now, to me, looking back, it feels like the whole time maybe the far right have always known what direction that like the world is going, and they probably thought maybe we can use this internet to build up underground credibility before it becomes mainstream. Because the 2010s, like at a time in the 2010s, bro, like the reason why I like Russell, again, I didn't know about all of his promiscuous stuff that he was doing, whatever, right? So the 2010s, he did start rebranding as like he came out with the truths, like it was news and
he did. No, he did a little leftist turn before he became a right winger. No doubt about it. I remember Michael Brooks, my dear friend Michael Brooks was a fan of Russell Brand's. Russell Brand did a very convincing left-wing turn. And you know what? He probably does share some basic like very groundwork like left-wing ideologies based on like what he still sometimes puts out there, but he's not a leftist. I mean, there's plenty of right-wingers who have that sort of popular. We see it with Trump and his fake populism. It's a whole thing on the right now to fake that sort of populist leftist idea, but do it under the right-wing ideology, which is bullshit. And as you see with Brand, how quickly he went that direction in order to foment a fan base that would defend him when the time came.
No, that's cool. Listen, Matt, you're probably like one of the few content creators that like. I know we're not going to agree on every single thing, right? But I at least thank you for not I like to give the perspective of like if there 10 years ago, I would have been buying into Russell Brand's like, oh, he angered the establishment. Because I was going, oh, I'm looking on the internet, the mainstream media is not covering this, so that must mean these guys are truth tellers. So the reason why I get affected by this, because I see a new generation of people who are being brainwashed, and I hope if they come around on this channel or something like that like maybe I can convince somebody if I do any good job at all. So I thank you for always letting me on to like at least talk about it, because like a lot of other people automatically talk conspiracies and you're going to be labeled and I don't blame people for thinking that, because every conspiracy person has been labeled is a right winger, because people.
I'll be honest. I'll say the things you bring to the table, though. I wouldn't necessarily say they're conspiracies. They're theory. Usually you're bringing speculation or theories that are seeped in news, things that have been published and reported. You're not like just like coming out there and saying like, John Fetterman looks different in this picture than he does in that picture. John Fetterman must be cloned. Like that to me is totally different than you being like, okay, I read these reports and this is my analysis. That's what you're bringing here. It's very different. Trust me. Don't put yourself in the same group as those guys.
Just for the record, though, I'm not saying John Fetterman is, but I do believe technology.
Don't do it. Don't make me regret it. Don't make me regret it.
No, listen, technology to me is so advanced that I could buy that people. They show this in
No.
movies all the time, bro. What's it called?
No.
They're literally showing it to you how they're doing it, and it's like
It's a
why are you letting
movie,
the right
man.
wingers? Hey,
Don't do
why
this
let
to
the
me. Making me
I'm sorry,
regret giving you props. Making me
I'm sorry,
regret giving you props.
I'm ruin it. You're setting me up right now. But it's like, dude, listen. I'm not saying that I'm gonna commit to it, but it's like okay, maybe because I can't handle so much death taking place, and I've had trauma porn nonstop in 2010s and all that for the deaths. That like to calm my mind at least. I can't think that everyone that just dies just goes away. I have to think that their spirit goes to another body or goes to another world. Like I have to comfort myself
Listen, I'm
by
not
thinking,
gonna, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna convince you otherwise. But
yeah, I know. Listen, I'm sorry,
and nor do I want to, nor do I want to. But I
I'm
think,
sorry, I'm sorry.
I think, it's.
I kill momentum. I kill my good point. I'm a piece of
For
shit.
me, for me personally, not to dive too much into this, but you brought it up. Like you sort of have to, and not everyone could do this. I understand. But you have to just at some point sort of just leave that bubble of what makes you feel good and just come to terms with like this is just how it is, and you shouldn't let it bother you. Just
No,
I mean,
no.
for me, like my mantra, my mantra for living in this world is, there's a great H2O song, this hardcore band from New York that was really big in the 90s. They have one of their big song that actually got them on MTV for a little bit. One life, one chance. And the chorus was like, one life, one chance, gotta do it right. And that's sort of like the way I view things. Like, that's what sort of makes.
Listen, if that's your view, that's cool. I'm not listen. So when people come up to me, like people who's listening on Stern, they go whenever I do something that's like
Did
not
you see?
anti.
Did you
Not,
see
not,
did you see what Stern was recent? Not to cut you off, but did you see what Stern was recently saying about how he's proud to be woke?
See, I mean, if you buy into that, this is where a lot of you lefty people, you guys are like Sting, you're like Sting trusting Ric Flair. You guys always have to be the naive baby faces, like because Howard seemingly is woke, but like for example, that Lauren Boebert storyline for me, like that's a typical Howard Stern written storyline. It wouldn't shock me if you found out that Howard Stern was booking that storyline. This is how far our storylines have gone. Where now Congress people are basically fucking doing Married with Children level stunts, basically of like this is something that Al Bundy and Peggy Bundy would be doing that like no man would get pissed off about. Well, like how dare you let your wife give you a hand job in at Beetlejuice? You know what I mean? Like, dude, this is
I
something
do.
like. How can you not think we live in a parody storyline? Like, if you watch the television show The Boys, do you watch that show The Boys?
Yes, I haven't watched the last. I still have to watch the last season, but it's a good show.
Yeah, see, like that show is what I think is a documentary essentially. Like that, like you just replace superheroes with celebrities and politicians, and you honestly have an honest to God like representation of what our world is. You know what I mean? Like, like I, like again, before I go, can we make a bet? Okay, so I said on your show that at one time there's gonna at Congress at one of these hearings there's gonna be some physical altercation that they're building up, right? Who do you think will be the first congressperson or of these figures who's gonna like throw the first punch and it's gonna become like a big fucking news cycle?
I hope it's John Fetterman, only because a punch from him would probably eviscerate whoever he punched.
I'm gonna predict that without how unhinged he gets. I'm gonna predict Jim Jordan is gonna be the one of the first people who gets physical in one of these Congress. We see this is why I'm a discourse predictor. What's it called? But I'm
Nah,
telling you right now.
Jim Jordan won't. He's the guy who turns the other way when things go down. If you know what I'm
You think?
saying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good one. He kind of looks like Dave Meltzer a little bit, doesn't he? A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Now that you say it, not to, I don't want to hurt Dave Meltzer's feelings, because that's quite the mean thing to say to him. But yeah, a little bit.
All right, listen, bro. I've taken your time. Thank you for staying on as long as you have,
No,
and I apologize if it.
I
derailed.
was in.
I won't talk about Illuminati clones ever again on your show. I learned my lesson, but thank you for taking my call and conversing with me. 'Cause I like you're a smart dude, and I give you an impression of how I do this so that you guys can relate to dumb down apolitical people who are being taken in, because some people don't, some people who approach me on my podcast, right, who call into my Twitter spaces, they go, you're going off about Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro, but we don't even listen to those people. And I'm like, okay, but you can take in conservative sensationalist shit by some of these libs of TikTok accounts, the shade room accounts, the what's that Daily Loud account. Like, there's different accounts that people don't think that are political, that they do seep it, like they put in hip hop news, but then they'll put in like something
Right.
that's very right wing. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
you don't
yeah,
have
yeah, I've seen that a lot. You see that a lot with sports accounts. A lot of those weird Twitter accounts that just came out of nowhere. Like they just like pretend to be like news organizations, but all they do is steal shit from actual outlets and like present it as their own.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? So that I try to give you how I used to think and buy into stuff, so that at least like you got, because again, sometimes I think smart people, and I give you credit for being smart and not falling down the rabbit hole. But sometimes I think smart people don't know how
I
dumbed down.
appreciate that. I appreciate.
I mean, you guys know, you guys are smart, so like that's why I come to you guys. I come to like someone like you to at least put out there, so that at least you guys know how to go. Okay, this is how dumbed down people thought process go. Like, I'm just giving you that, even if it might seem crazy. You know what I mean? Because you just become distrustful of the whole. I think consuming too much alt media in the 2010s made me a complete reactionary, like in the sense that, like, oh, if the US says that Assad is bad, that must mean I have to defend Assad. Like, and this is presented as nuance. And what they call, I used to be in Assad, like I used to defend Assad, not because I believe in like that he didn't do anything. It was more because, well, how dare the US say something about that? So like, if the Ukraine stuff was
Mm.
happening 10 years ago, I definitely would have been like, oh, they're doing to Russia what they did to Iraq. I wouldn't think that Russia was being the aggressor, because I'm taking in alt media, because I gave up on the U.S. Western media, because I felt like they fucking lied about Iraq, and it turned me off completely from them. That I go, well, they no longer have credibility to me. But I have to have more nuance than that. Like, I have to like check in different sources. I can't just rely on alt media anymore, because that used to be the 2010 trope. You know what I mean? And now
Right.
in 2020s, it's like they become just as compromised as the mainstream media is, actually. You know what I mean? Like, it's
No,
actually fucked up.
this is a great point, honestly. Just the fact that someone is saying they're independent, it doesn't mean that they're trustworthy. That was like those words were used interchangeably. I would say, like you said, maybe like 10 starting maybe 10, 15 years ago. And, back when all you had was corporate media and these legitimate independent news outlets were coming out, then yeah, I guess you could, for the most part, trust independent media. But as the internet continued to grow and more people were able to take part in this, because the cost and the barrier to entry would lower and lower each year, based on the fact that like cameras and microphones and lighting and computers and setups and streaming equipment, other than that stuff, would become more and more affordable. That means more people could do independent media, which means that some untrustworthy figures would do independent media. So independent media could no longer just be interchangeable with like, oh, trustworthy anti the bullshit corporate news you see on TV, straight as it is facts. It's just not. A lot of people who are doing what's considered quote unquote independent media nowadays are just fucking liars and bullshit artists and grifters.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, again, Matt, man, thank you for having me on your show, bro. I enjoy calling in. I was about to give up because I know you're going pretty long, whatever. But thanks for like at least I feel bad because you wanted to get off, and now I
No,
keep getting
Dylan Burns just rated me. Thank you, Dylan. Oh man, but I was just about to. I am just about to close up for the night. I've been streaming for about 3 hours now. But
so
really great. So follow me, Twitch people who are in there. Great call, Hansi, as always.
thank
Really
you.
appreciate talking about it.
Peace out, man. Peace out.
Dylan says I'm not a top G. Says Green for Whiskey. What? I'm not a top G. How dare he? I am the toppest G. I am peak G. Yeah, if you like the Hansi call, please go back and check it out. Hansi and I had a great conversation about the Russell Brand stuff and the just independent media and how they handle certain things. It was a great call. Let me read some super chats. Maybe there'll be some interesting. I'm not leaving just yet, but I am wrapping up. So stick around for a little bit. Definitely follow me, Dylan Burns fans and viewers. Dylan's been on this show before. I am going to definitely do more with Dylan in the near future. Got to reach out to him. But thank you, Dylan. Let's read some super chats. Thank you to Tokyo Hans and Charlie the Jittimer for all the gifted memberships. Really appreciate that over on YouTube. Renee with a super chat. What about Erdogan's magic question to Elon? I missed this. What did Erdogan? Oh, I did not miss it. Actually, it took me a second. Is it when Erdogan asked Elon Musk? Elon Musk went to Turkey, right? And Erdogan asked him because he brought one of his kids. But Erdogan was like, "Where's your wife?" Right? Venetia with a member chat asks, Matt, are you going to read the new Elon Musk book? I need to. I do need to. Yes, that's on the list of things to do if I ever have time. But I do plan to at least read some of it. Skip around a bit to some parts I know about that I want to read more into. Venetia David with a 10-pound chat now. I'll never pay for X. I'd much rather support Matt. Aw, thank you, Venetia. I appreciate that. Your money's probably better spent here. I can't say that. No, I can't. I'm not a promoter in that way. I'm not good at it. I feel bad already for saying that. Renee with a super chat. Wait, is Matt training for his cage fight versus Elon? Oh, because I said, I never went into it. My body is aching today because yesterday there's a pro wrestling school in here that had an open house, and I was like, it's an open house, I'm gonna go and just see what it's all about. And they did like a warm-up routine to like just show people what they're getting themselves into, and like an exercise, like a gym route, it was like an hour gym thing, and it was just constant reps of push-ups, then burpees, then push-ups, then burpees, then push-ups, then and it went back and forth like that. And then it went to squats, push-ups, squats, push-ups, squats, push-ups. Long story short, I am out of shape. It was as intense as I thought it would be, but I wasn't prepared for how unprepared my body was for it. My arms died on me. There was a point where I had to tell them I needed to drench my face and head under the sink before things got worse. They seemed like they were very nice, all of them. It was not my first workout. I do soccer. That's my thing. I got no upper body strength. It's all in my legs. The squats I was able to go. I could have kept going. It was the push-ups that were especially difficult for me after doing like 50 of them. Or what seemed like 50 of them. In reality, it was probably like 10. I will say though, I enjoyed the feeling. Like they wanted to see people basically have heart and stay in it and not walk away from it. And I gotta say, I'm almost shocked at how much I enjoy the pain I'm in right now. I want to go back. I'm not done. I'm not done. It felt good. Even though this is the most I could put my arms up. I can't extend my elbows and my shoulders anymore. This is... It's a legit school, too. You guys remember, if anyone watched TNA wrestling, do you guys remember The Amazing Red? It's his school. I think I'm about to become Brolic Binder. You'll see. It's either that or you're all witnessing the midlife crisis right now. Think about it. All of a sudden, I'm playing sports between my son getting me back into. I'm suddenly in the past year. I'm assistant coach on my son's soccer team. I'm playing in a adult soccer league. I'm attending pro wrestling school workouts. This does line up to me turning 37, doesn't it? No, I don't have any. Like someone said, Binder will be the next. Moody said Binder will be the next DDP. DDP is an example of someone who started doing this when he was like 38, 39, and became a pretty big wrestling star. Listen, I'm like 5'4", 130 pounds soaking wet. I have no aspiration that this is gonna go anywhere. This is purely for fun, and for myself. This is not like I'm gonna be. This is it. This is where I'm gonna see me. I mean, Hyper Mode says, "Bro, Rey Mysterio's a short king." Yeah, Rey Mysterio's also been doing this since he's 15 years old. Maybe if I started 20 years ago, we could say, "Yo, just keep at it, man, and you'll be a high flying luchador superstar." But I think the Rey Mysterio ship has even sailed for me. All right, let's go back to the super chats. But yeah, that's my thing. I'm probably gonna get into a little bit better shape and then go back. I want to be able to do those, because they say they do that before every practice, every training session, and then they get in the ring. So if I can't do the pre-training workout, then I don't want to. That's bad for me, and I think it's a burden for everyone else there. So I'm gonna see what I can do first, and then I'll be back. I would make a great manager, though. I think I could be the promo guy for someone who's a lot taller and in shape than me, who just doesn't have the promo abilities. I think I got the promo charisma. I think I could be the Paul Heyman to someone's Roman Reigns. I think I could do that. That's the real idea. If something was to actually come of this, it'd be Binder the manager, not Matt Binder the pro wrestler. Marianne says, Matt, I took up competitive. Marianne, I gotta say, at quick glance, I thought this is on me, not you. It says more about me than anything. I read, Matt, I took up competitive porn, not POM, which is what you did right. I was like, what? What's competitive? But no, Marianne said, Matt, I took up competitive POM, which is cheerleading, this year. I turned 50 last week. You can totally be a wrestler. I mean, that's awesome. But I probably think it's more realistic what you're doing. Miss Marlena, thank you so much for subscribing for 1 month of Tier 1 over at Twitch. Aussie Plant Dragon, resubscribe at Prime for 3 months. Thank you so much. Sydney Viewer on Twitch, love the streams. Thank you so much. Knifest Sharp, resubscribe at Prime, subscriber for 3 months. Thank you so much. Marianne says someone has made that mistake before about competitive POM. I did see. Marianne says we are called the Natural Disasters. There was a wrestling tag team called the Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon. They were about more than a foot taller than me, and about 300, 400 pounds more than me. Space Karen says, hey, come on, Matt. If David Arquette can keep doing it, you can. Did you see what happened to David Arquette? I would not do extreme wrestling. I'm not a fan of hardcore matches like that. I'm fine with the tables and the ladders and a ladder match, but I'm not into the tube lighting and the glass and things like that. I would not do that. Primarily because of what happened to David Arquette, where something went wrong and the glass literally cut a hole in his neck during a match. That would not be cool. Miss Marlena says the streams are awesome and love you on the Majority Report also. Thank you so much. Ooh, it's 1 a.m. now. What did I say? Oh, go an hour and a half. Oh, it's 2 hours. I'm calling it. Oh, 2.5 hours. That's definitely it. Whoa, 3 hours. Now we're 3.5 hours. My Dogs Are God says, Matt, you need to talk to Jake at What You Can Do. Oh, he reached out to me. We're going to work on something there. But then on top of that, that same Jake created something really cool for me, for this channel that I'm going to upload on Friday. It's really cool. And depending on how good it does on the channel, I mean, even if it doesn't do so good, I want to do more. But if it does good on the channel, I really want to do more. You guys will see. It's really cool. I'm really pumped to show you guys. Back to the super chats. Renee says, Matt, wait, is Matt training for his cage fight versus Elon? I read that one, didn't I? I think so. Tokyo Hans, Musk, would you like a Neuralink? Me. Sure, you first. I'll get back to you in a second. Right. Renee with another super chat. Maybe after all, Terminal Monies wasn't a mistake. You know what? Terminal Money sounds like buying Twitter, doesn't it? Mr. Sushi with a super chat. Matt, didn't old knee and hip replacements kill a lot of people? We don't even know how the brain works. What is Elon doing? All right. T King with a super chat. Matt, love your content. Let's get an editor. Right. I really need to. I think I got to do it, even if I don't have the funds. Like, even though I have to dive into the personal funds, at least for a little bit. Because if that's not what's holding me back, then maybe it's time to put a what is that wrestlers do when they retire? They leave they leave their boots in the middle of the ring. I might have to do that. If more content, doing different types of stuff, if it's just like, if me, Matt Binder, the person I am, is so repellent to the vast majority of people that I can't grow this channel past where it is, then it might be time to hang it up. So it's got to be the content. Otherwise, it's me. Rips with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. That might be Australian dollars too. Thank you. I don't know. Wanda with a members chat. You are the best. Thank you, Wanda. Narrator with two $20 super chats in a row for a total of 40. Thank you, Narrator. I don't really have anything to say, but have you ever wondered how long it takes for a giraffe to swallow? Is this an innuendo or something, Narrator? Nothing illustrates the danger. Narrator with a completely different super chat comment now. Nothing illustrates the danger of minimizing and conflating anti-Semitism to anti-Zionism than the apartheid PM of Israel lauding apartheid Nepo baby Elon Musk for his fight against anti-Semitism. Yeah. But for that specific interview, I did appreciate the role he played in pointing out just how far down that right-wing rabbit hole Musk is. Because he was giving him every opportunity. And he couldn't do it. Musk couldn't do it. Musk could not condemn anti-Semitism, even with Netanyahu throwing him all those softballs. Not softball isn't even the word for it. It was like giving him a reach around, begging him to condemn anti-Semitism, and he couldn't do it. Foresto with a super chat. Didn't manage to get my call picked up, but wanted to encourage you to look into the controversy around the Unity engine. Good scam economy material. I think someone called in last week to talk about that. Foresto with another super chat. Don't forget the Australian spider humans like centaurs, but they have spider bottoms. They're called spiders. It's AU instead of E because Australia. What? Fred Walsh with a $10 super chat. Hi, Matt. Question re Chaya. How much more harassment will she direct? How many more bomb threat shooters will she inspire before she's sued to oblivion or forced off Twitter, X, or disappeared? Thanks. I mean, listen. It's a business. It's clearly become a money-making endeavor for her. I mean, what it's going to take is for her to actually directly inspire someone to hurt someone and for them to actually carry it out. It can't be a bomb threat that turns out to be just someone calling in. It's going to, but even then, I mean, look at all the people who said they've been inspired by like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and nothing happens from it. I mean, they continue on with advertisers and everything. I mean, just take solace in knowing that there are a lot, but the people who don't agree with them are more. And it's true. They are. Narrator with a $10 super chat. You mentioned Peter Thiel, so I have to remind everyone he and other VCs are suing Honduras to force them to surrender territorial sovereignty with Prospera. I have to look more into this. Thank you for putting my radar, Narrator. Javier Ramirez with a super chat. Did you see what happened to Unity Engine? I will have to look into it. Probably will be a Scam Economy episode, right? Trent with a super chat, with a member super chat. Great show tonight, Matt. Please get some sleep. I will. Brian with a super chat. Bruh, can you talk about that creepy ass Neuralink? I did a whole segment in the first hour of the show. Go back and watch. I did a whole segment. I brought up the Neuralink looking for human patients now. I brought up Elon Musk denying the torture that Neuralink put monkeys through. And then I read through a new report in Wired that spoke to former Neuralink employees, a veterinarian who was involved, and pulled up public records and read I think at least three examples of what Neuralink did to monkeys that were euthanized. Definitely go back. It's gruesome. It's horrendous. These monkeys were tortured and then died. Horrible deaths. And they weren't sickly on death's door monkeys like Musk was claiming either. The former Neuralink employee said these were perfectly healthy young monkeys that needed to be behavioral trained a year before they even put the Neuralink in their brain. So definitely go back and check out the beginning of this stream. Folks, majority report tomorrow. I might be a little bit late. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going to an event for work to cover. I don't know if I could say what that event is. But I'm going to an event. It's early, but I don't know how long it's going to be. By the time I get home, I'll let you know. Probably should be on, though. I doubt I would miss it completely. Then Leftist Mafia tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. The whole crew will be back. Lance, David, Rebecca. Who am I missing? Mike. And then the following week, there won't be a regular Doomed episode. There'll still be the usual content, probably even longer content than usual. But there probably won't be the regular Doomed episode where it's like me taking calls or having a guest on, because it's another GOP debate next week. So Wednesday will be a debate show. I'm pretty sure the Leftist Mafia crew is going to do another debate stream, so that'll be that. And then, of course, Leftist Mafia the next day. Same amount of content, just slightly different programming, I guess you can say. So, yeah. We are now at over 3.5 hours. And I'm probably going to do another 3.5, 4 hours tomorrow night on Leftist Mafia. Folks, who should I rate on Twitch? Brian B with another super chat. He is going to get his gullible followers killed when they sign up to try this shit. It's so creepy. Thanks for covering it. I'll go back and watch. Yes. I mean, I hope no one gets hurt. Really. I mean, I don't want anyone to... I mean, it's going to be bad, though, if something happens. Who should I rate over on Twitch? Let's see who's on. Who's Thank you everyone who's saying great show. I really appreciate it. Who's on right now though? I see Actual Jake, Shark 30 or Shark 300. I feel like we got a number of people in here tonight, thanks to the Dylan Burns crowd who stuck around, which I appreciate. Please make sure you're subscribed to, you're following the Twitch channel, or or subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/MattBinder as well, and of course patreon.com/MattBinder if you're feeling kind enough. Patreon.com/MattBinder if you are feeling kind enough and have the funds to become a monthly paying subscriber to help grow the channel, help me hire a editor to get more content out there. Who should I raid though? Who's someone that's a great lefty streamer or just a good cultural streamer or news streamer? Yeah, there's no raid on YouTube. You can't raid on YouTube. It's not possible. I remember reading they were going to work. They're going to build something into it, but it never happened, or it's not out yet. Who's Carbon Says? That's someone new. I've never rated Carbon Says before. I've rated Shark before a number of times. I just want to see if someone new is on. I like rating, spreading the love. You know what I mean? Oh, it says the title of Carbon Says is stream is debating conservatives. That automatically gets my interest. Let's see what Carbon Says is doing. Are they debating a conservative right now? They are. All right, cool. This is interesting. I'm going to send you guys there. Carbon Says he's debating a conservative right now. All right, enjoy that stream. Someone new. At least new to me. I will see you all tomorrow on the Majority Report on Leftist Mafia. And then maybe there'll be a last-minute stream before the debate, just for fun. Maybe a Fortnite stream. I don't know. Maybe not. Don't get your hopes up. I'll let you know if I do anything like that. But definitely Majority Report, Leftist Mafia tomorrow. GOP debate stream next Wednesday. And then obviously Majority Report, Leftist Mafia next Thursday as well. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you for all the love and the support. And I will see you all next time on Doomed.